And welcome to Anonymous Bites Back, episode 103. Hold on, I think somebody muted themselves on accident. um,
How's everybody?
Pretty good, pretty good. Um, so yeah, today one of the subjects I kind of wanted to get on to, I guess was Terrence. Are you still here, Terrence? I guess he's muted. um, yeah, Martin Scarelli, the ex CEO of Turin Pharmaceuticals, was sentenced to 7 years in prison. It was 2 days ago. It's kind of funny because this is I mean like he had this one coming to him, but this is the same asshat that raised HIV medications um, from $13.50 all the way up to $750 overnight. Um,
Okay.
oh, there you are. Yeah, we're talking about Martin Scarelli to start
Oh.
off with, but yeah, this is and during his case trial with I think it was a federal trial, because you think he was in federal court. He managed to he was insulting the judge and the jury during his trial, saying like the whole thing was a joke, and he got sentenced to 7 years, which I don't think is enough compensation for the
I mean,
victims.
it is kind of like, there is a little bit of irony there, right? It is kind of ironic that, the people that he didn't get put in jail for raising the price to a phenomenal number on HIV medication. He got put in jail for some sort of
Oh yeah,
money laundering, embezzlement thing from rich people that he fucked over that are that make their money off of fucking people over. You know what I mean? So that, like, it is kind of ironic that, look, you didn't go to prison for hurting, innocent people that are struggling upon struggling. You got put in jail for fucking over rich people. It's like the Bernie Madoff thing. Like, in all actuality, Bernie Madoff wasn't all that bad of a guy. The people that he stole money from are horrible people.
yeah. This guy was a little had like some screw looses. He had exclusive rights to certain artists like Wu Tang Clan and a few other ones, where he had asked them to produce an album and bought the exclusive rights to it. And he's the only one who can view the music. Yeah, and listen to the music. He's a
He
little.
owned
Yeah.
he owned the first Wu Tang gold record, and didn't several of the Wu Tang members like go to his apartment and take it back from him?
I think that they tried. I think he was
Yeah.
eventually told that he had to return it over some legal proceedings. But
I would have, dude. Could you imagine being the doorman there and be like, "Yo, Wu Tang Clan is here, and they say they want their shit back." I'm not, I'm not a lawyer, but I think you should just give it to
I'm
them.
not. Wasn't ODB killed over some issues with the Naughty and stuff coming out about them and how they
He
were
died
ripping them
real.
off?
He died real young, and I mean, like Tupac, he said some real like pathetic things. We made it. There were songs that he made that really had nothing to do with that. But then when he did, him, KRS One, Tupac have said some really, really like true things, amazing things, and had been saying them for a while. He was the CIA selling crack in the hood. And everybody laughed about it. Ha ha! It became like a national joke, but in actuality, CIA was selling hood like crack in the hood,
yeah, they were.
right? And it's things like that. I don't know whether he was taken out. I don't know whether Tupac was, but in saying and having their platform, they did talk about some things that are true, that turned out to be true.
Isn't there a show coming out about the Tupac and the Big and Tupac and Big's murders, and like there's like this whole show?
Yeah, there is. I'm not gonna get like, look, they were amazing artists, so we all, underlying would like there with any of these people that there's a tragedy. Even with MLK, with any time that we've got a figure like this that's taken too soon, there's always the want or the need for there to be something more. It's not that, some crazy fan blew away someone that was truly important over nothing. There has to be conspiracy or it's worthless. It's pointless. It hurts us on a spiritual level because we like their music or something that they did. On the same note, our government and government entities do have a tendency to execute people that are saying truth.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to say. I would like to believe that Biggie and Tupac are living on a beautiful island in the Caribbean somewhere. I would like that to be true as well. Is it? Probably not.
Remember when Lulsec put that on the New York Times? They put it on the webpage that Tupac was alive. You don't remember that one?
I talked to this lady, and we were having a pretty real conversation about aliens and about all of this other stuff, and she went on and on and on about Elvis. And at the end of the day, look, Elvis would be like 100 years old at this point. Even if he didn't die of back in the day, he would be more than dead now. Like seeing an old Elvis, it would be like zombie Elvis at this time. Anybody figure out how old Elvis is?
He'd be like 100 and something by now, right?
Yeah. When it comes to your stars, you hate to see them. You hate to see them go. We're gonna have to talk about the implications of Stephen Hawking's passing on. I think that should probably be what we open with. No.
Oh yeah. Stephen Hawking died. Was that 2 days ago? Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. As soon as it goes down, you're immediately like, great, we are fucked. Before, if we got attacked by aliens, we had a chance, right? We had Stephen Hawking, right? But now we may look. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye. If we get attacked, y'all are up to bat, guys.
Yeah, I've heard from
right?
a few.
Start watching those Sagan videos, right? We're gonna need them.
I've even heard from a few friends of Bill Nye that he, as far as his concepts and some of his views on, especially like quantum physics, he's very close-minded on certain things.
And he's not. To be honest, okay, Bill Nye is not a astrophysicist. Is not even a theoretical astrophysicist. He is an actor. He's just because of where he ended up, with the Science Guy being so popular, he took that opportunity. But because of that, he doesn't have all of the, the information in front of him.
I always assumed he had some degree.
Michio Kaku as well. I was big. I read a lot of his stuff. I was really into Michio Kaku. He's really close-minded on certain things in the way that, you wouldn't be able to tell certain physicists that the universe wasn't balanced or infinite, right? There was if you go back and watch some of his interviews and all of that stuff, he works for the military-industrial complex. But he was approached once, and somebody had mentioned that, that some of the physics behind 9/11, and he melts the fuck down. He loses it. And you can see the reasons why if you know anything about the people that he works with. But look, just because they're a scientist, they're not. We can't put scientists in place of God, right? So, and I'm not talking on a spiritual level. I'm talking people can't that they're omnipotent or that they don't make mistakes. Everything that the scientists that we know, the best and the brightest, everything that they're teaching now, 100% is wrong. But it's closer to the right answer than we've ever been before.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We have no idea what gravity is. When we do figure out what gravity is, right, we know it exists, which is head and shoulders above every other species on the planet.
Oh yeah.
We just don't know. We just don't know what it is. And we've just, we're just now trying to figure some of those things out. But all the way up there, all the way up to that, every description, every science is 100% wrong.
Well, yeah,
Right,
as far as we know, all we know is that it's a bending of space time, and that gravity tends to go towards large objects. Always directly. I was arguing with a flat earther 2 days ago for about 2.5 hours.
Have you seen the one where that kid goes on his that kid goes on his like YouTube and tries to like explain flat Earth with a basketball and like a plate, and why it doesn't, like, why the world is one way and not the other, and it's like, did you miss all of science class?
You know
Like
what?
the whole
You know what
thing?
stopped this?
Where were you?
You know what stopped the argument with this one was I tried to explain about the magnetosphere and gamma radiation, and I think the thing that shut them up was to do the experiment with magnets and iron filings and tell them what shape it'll form. That kind of like shut them up for a little while.
It's one of those things, and we might want to say this because we do have a lot to time this to fill when we're talking. But it's one of those things. Look, the planet is round. Space exists. Other planets exist. All of that stuff, right? And I know there's a video out there of some guys on the space station that do an experiment with with a rag, and how the water sticks to it. If you kind of zoom out to a giant level, that's exactly what's happening with us. On the same time, NASA, our space agencies, our governments are definitely hiding something up there at the same time. The two things are not related, right? The Earth is definitely round. Our government is definitely hiding things. And exactly what they're hiding, I'm not sure, but there is no doubt that they're hiding shit up there.
Well, I wouldn't doubt. Reagan was.
It might be something as simple as weaponry. Right?
That's what I thought.
Reagan was
very interested in the Star Wars program. How far along it went, we don't know.
And that's the deal. It's to say how far it went. We have our ideas when it comes to nuclear warfare is mutual assured destruction. It may just be as simple as something as a nuclear bomb up there that's a dead man switch. That if we all die, it continues to bomb Russia or wherever the fuck they pick out, North Korea, whoever they feel like destroying. But chances are it's nothing good, and it's nothing that when we look back at it, helped humanity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I was reading something called Operation High Jump, which was about a hollow Earth theory, where it was like portals on the North and South Pole. I agree that you might not be able to go so far before you lose consciousness and oxygen or freeze to death.
And there's things up there that were, I think it's Thor's hammer, which was using kinetic energy.
Yeah, with tungsten rods.
Yeah, the tungsten. And I mean, I'm sure that's with polymers, I'm sure that's expanded, but those weapons all really cross the line on what's legal and illegal in space warfare. We may be the only species to ever leave our planet and then immediately turn back around to look at ourselves.
Oh, speaking of which, did you hear Trump talking about trying to launch a new military agency, calling it the Space Force? What the fuck?
We're going to invade space.
Isn't there international treaty?
It's not to invade space. He wants to put us up there and immediately look back at our planet. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like saying you're going to climb the Himalayas, but you're going to do it walking backwards. Right? If you're putting stuff into space, shouldn't you be looking into space and not back to oppress the planet that you just came from? Uh-oh.
Yeah, hold on. Somebody's saying that we have echo. Hold on. The Space Force? What the? No, I'm not. No, I don't hear no echo.
Okay, first of all, this is why they're not in charge, because we have already picked out a name, okay? Our International Space Fighting Force are called Space Marines. This has been done already.
What?
Guys, play some StarCraft, okay? The Terrans are Space Marines. We've already got a cool name.
Yeah, that's what.
If you're the first guy that picks out, if you're the first guy that meets an alien race, right? Do us a solid. Don't pick fucking humans. That's it's just a stupid fucking name, right? I'd pick Thundercats. Right? If
Thundercats.
they're all like, we are the Arthenians from the other side of the universe. What is your species? I'd be like, we're fucking Thundercats.
What's a
So when they
species?
go back and look at the archives, they'll know we're a species not to be messed with.
God, Trump.
Greetings, Thundercats. Who told them that our species was called Thundercats? That was me. That was me. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh God! Like I was like when I heard Trump say that, I was like, isn't there an international treaty about not having wars in space? Like I'm almost positive there
It's
was
like
something
the
signed.
antithesis it's on the antithesis of like war without end. Like at that point, war is like space is mostly nothing, and that's what he wants to go to war with. We've literally ran out of things on the planet to go to war with.
If it's not Russia, it's North Korea. Now we need to have soldiers in space. I'm like,
Okay, guys,
great,
this
but
is-
didn't you want to
this is-
decommission?
We don't have them everywhere now.
Yeah, didn't you want to
This is the
decommission the
plan,
International
okay?
Space
We
Station?
just get like a rod with a flag on it, with the Russian flag, and we launch that fucker as fast as we can off the planet and into space. And just make a statement that everything that flag touches, Russia owns. And I guarantee you the U.S. will have a flag going twice as fast in no time.
You know, speaking of space wars, you know, I hear India is going to the moon in like 2 years. I'm almost positive.
Oh, they're
that,
launching satellites. They're going to the moon. China's coming up quick. New Zealand's got a space agency, coming. Like good things are happening. We just have to like press, we just have to, continue to support them. With that whole Indian space program, they're planning on giving the entire planet free internet. You guys do realize that?
Yeah, we need to move to the moon, dude. Oh, you
I'm
just
outta
have
here.
to make. It's like, okay, guys, nobody owns this shit. Can we really like make a statement, put like a name tag or something on it, so we don't have the same arguments over and over and over and over again?
watch there'll be an
Here's
Indian
the deal.
flag up there, and then Trump will be like, "We're going to war with India." Fuck it.
Yeah, yeah. This is for the U.S.
Didn't we
interest.
already claim one side of the moon?
How is that? That's just like that. That is the
No,
problem.
man.
Like, we're never going to get off of our planet because we thought of something like we claimed the moon.
Well, we put a flag up there, right? And it's waving.
yeah,
Yeah, but my dog pissed on the front yard. It doesn't mean that he owns it.
It does to another dog.
To the dog.
No,
See?
exactly. That is the point.
Well, you know, there still is
Well-
USA owned equipment on there. They still have the lunar rover and some of the communication satellite dishes that were left on
Oh yeah,
on the
we
moon.
totally own it. We left some of our trash there. That's how it works.
But
There's a Tesla car winging around there too. What part do they own?
yeah, exactly. I heard that's good. That's supposed to go down. That's supposed to explode in the asteroid belt soon.
That's awesome. More trash than we have space. Than we have people in space. That is cool.
Yeah. That got me because everybody was clapping like how artistic and how grand this was. You look at what he's doing, it's just like, really? He just like shot up this card and you're like blow it up, or you didn't even go where you're off target anyway. You didn't even go to where you.
He's supposed to go to Mars, but
Yeah, do you guys
there
want to
was
go
so
to
much-
Mars? It's like, what
There
the
was
fuck?
so much
dude?
that he could have done. There was a statement that could have been made with that. You know what I mean? There is such.
And it was really, it was just a copy of something out of, what was that movie out of the 80s? Oh God, they had there's a scene from one of those films, animated films, back in that era.
It's not.
Anyway.
Is there a scene in Heavy Metal where he rides like a
There you go.
sports car?
There you go.
I'm trying.
Yeah,
to
there's
like,
a there's
it's
a
not
there's
it's
a
like
astronaut suit in a convertible sports car.
Yeah.
And yeah, he wasn't even giving him credit, for that. But yeah, it's and they use some of the same shots, so it's not a coincidence.
Well, and I just don't understand. Like, look, I'm not saying I would have like I said, tried to put given internet to a place that needed internet. Maybe even just in the bottom part of the U.S. into the Caribbean, because we're going to need it for this next hurricane season. You know, there's so much that he could have done, you know, and just use it for emergency communications. You know, he could have put up, you know, a crystal or put up something as a statement to, you know, the planet being unified with a big T on the back of it for Tesla Motors. You know what I mean? Like, it could have said your name, but there's so much that they could have done rather than launch, you know, a car that only your rich friends can afford. You know, you didn't come out with and I'm not talking about the company Volkswagen, but the idea of the Volkswagen, like the people's car, a car everybody could afford, that a family could afford, right? You didn't come out with the electric Volkswagen, right? You came out with a sports car that only your friends could afford.
Yeah.
Ugh. You bought a hospital for, you know, you brought a solar generator to a hospital and then charged them for it. Woo! Thanks, man. Like, that would have been the time to say, look, I am just going to finish the fossil fuels industry, right? We will turn Puerto Rico into the green, you know what I mean, utopia, right? There'll be no denying it. Like, the solar roof panels will be flying off of the fucking shelves, right? The only name that'll be in solar electronics will be Tesla. And instead, he launched a sports car into the sky.
Yeah. One small step for man, one small step for man.
It's not even the farthest. It's not even like the farthest that anybody's even shot a sports car. Like we were just talking, the lunar lander is still up there.
Well, you know what it kind of reminded me of that he did this. This is like, you know, like when you're kids and like you're playing around with like fireworks or explosives. Like, dude, we should totally launch a toy car on this shit. Like that's that's what it totally reminded
If
me of.
he would come out on national TV and say, "Look, guys, we were stoned," okay, then maybe I would take that as an excuse. But I think it has more to do with like the advertising. They've still got the greed is good, go 80s, you know, advertisers that run these companies, and that sounds like something that a bunch of guys in suits in a boardroom came up with.
Yeah,
You know, that sounds like those kind of ideas. It's the Pepsi at a rally. Motherfucker, you're draining California dry. What do you mean revolution?
Yeah, he wants to open
But
up.
that's what in advertising come up. Hey, revolution's hot right now. Just put that in there. Pepsi's always been part of it. No way, man. Nobody believes you. Let's run Hillary Clinton.
He should have.
It's the same guy.
He should have put up a satellite or something. I mean, if you're gonna, you know, launch a Falcon Heavy, man, I mean, you know, make it do something.
Yeah, he could have made it so
You know,
cool. And
just-
like I said, like taking a perfectly cut like giant, piece of glass or something and inscribing something that would speak to to humanity. There's so much that he could have said in that statement. And like I said, put a cool, plaque of a T on it, of Tesla on the back of it. You still could have made it you still would have got the credit for it being your company, but there's such a statement that could have been made there. And he has such a voice personally, right? Like him and, Google, they're talked about as the future of industry. And that's not the future that we're talking about. Not at all. What the fuck was that? You spent so much money on that.
Bro, he also has a side company fucking developing a flamethrower. Like,
well, let's be honest. You can't use bullets in space. We love guns, and a lot of movies have made it, but bullets, spacecraft, bad deal. So I would say a flamethrower is a much better option. And like I said, they may be hiding shit that we don't know about in space.
Right.
We may have a real problem with creepy crawlies on our spaceships.
Like, yeah, because the projectiles would just go on
Monsanto
forever.
having unbridled use of military hardware could do in space. You might need a flamethrower.
Well, NASA said something the other day about the Chinese put up a satellite that has a high power laser on it, and they're blasting. There's like so many millions of pieces of junk just flying around up there that they're just trying to blast the junk or slow it down enough to turn it in. It's just, geez,
some
a mess.
out there that show the amount of shit that is just flying around our planet, and it's trash. It's all stuff that we put there. I personally would love, someone to look into the
Space
what is
cleanup.
it, the Black Knight project. It's a satellite that the Earth has, not man-made. Tesla supposedly got radio waves off of it, and it's in an orbit that natural asteroids can't be caught up in. Right? It goes from the North Pole to the South Pole and back around again, and that's not possible. Things only are caught up in our gravitational pull to orbit like that in a very precise location. It's named, I'll have to look it up. I think it's the Dark Knight, which was a rocket program that the English had that they originally blamed this item on.
I think I've heard of it. Yeah, Dark Knight.
Well, that's a conspiracy theory, man. I'm surprised you
Okay,
bringing that up.
I mean, it's one of those odd 99, maybe even, maybe less, maybe 60% of the stuff. But I'd say most of the stuff out there, it doesn't add up for one reason or another. There's a good reason to just, hey, go check it out. Why can't we look at it is the problem. Don't you want to look at it? You guys will look up my ass if I send a message to a friend in Syria, but the object that's swinging around our planet that something put there or that shouldn't be there, you don't give a shit about. And I don't understand why. It's one of those, because there's so little information about it out there, where some things that are much more fantastical are really are pushed. I think it would be worth looking into. I do. It's something cool up there. They may have captured it already and brought it back, whatever it is. It's gigantic, guys. It was caught in a NASA photo once, and they tried to write it off as a ejector seat. But the deal is, if it was an ejector seat, it would have been like 10 times the size of it doesn't look like an ejector seat.
This thing's been up there since the 60s. They know it's been up there since then, right?
Well, no, like they've found it. Several people have found it over time, have studied it here and there, but because of its orbit, it's very hard to pick up. Tesla was very interested in it. He said that like I said, that it was broadcasting radio waves. Now, all sorts of objects make radio waves. Just because it reflects or gives off radio waves just means that it may have some sort of energy inside of it. That could be volcanic. That could be radioactive. It could be a piece of radioactive material that's giving off a radio signal. All of those things are possible, but it's worth a look. And why aren't we allowed to look at it?
Don't know. Because they don't want you to look at it.
Honestly, out of all, there's like millions of documentaries out there of the same kind of recycled, alien documentaries that the Discovery Channel and all of them do. But this is one. There's like one video about it out there. Like one.
If it was, there would be, you would see it for number one, I would think, and you can't hide something like that now.
It is and that's the deal. Its orbit's weird. The way that it orbits. And if it's in the daytime, we wouldn't see it. It is far enough away from us that with the naked eye, you wouldn't pick it up like that. And catching it, we'd have to figure it out. I'd have to, somebody that's listening or whatever can tell us the best way to pick this thing up. But it's something, whatever it is, we didn't put it up there, and it's something that shouldn't exist in nature.
I think I'm looking up. This thing was first spotted in 1958. What the fuck?
It's weird, man. And the lack of information is and it's not like there isn't. We know the exact number of every single piece of debris that's swinging around. Like I said, there's that animation of debris that's swinging around the planet, but this one item, no information about. And it's big.
Well, it looks like the size of the booster from.
Look into it a little bit deeper, because that's no small. If you've ever seen a Saturn V booster,
yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like that big, but it's not. It's all black.
Gigantic.
It's all black, and it's got
As soon as
It's
you start looking into it, you're immediately like, what
I'm
the
looking at
fuck
it right
is
now. It
this?
definitely looks like it's a piece of metal with a bunch of like little grooves and everything on it, like from what I can see. But it's so grainy, you can't make out the rest of it.
Yeah, but yet they can tell me every little piece of debris that's between us and the moon.
Yeah, that's right. Actually,
Yep.
the air defense, they have to register every little piece of debris has to be registered.
And it's not like the debris is just sitting there. Some of this shit's moving at thousands and thousands of miles an hour. We're moving at thousands and thousands of miles an hour. And yet they can't, there's like zero information about this. And like they've made statements about it. It's not like they haven't acknowledged that it exists.
So they won't tell you probably because that's maybe that was the weird broadcast that what's his name was hearing. Tesla was hearing back in the 1880s or sorry,
That's what he was. Tesla traveled to two different places to two different places in the world to monitor this thing to try to pick it up again.
Yeah, he was listening to AM band, and he was getting a repeating signal in the 1890s when there was no AM radio available, no AM stations. So I'm like, if he was hearing a repeating signal, the only thing he should have heard at the time was natural earth sounds, whistlers.
Yeah, and I mean some of that they didn't know everything that gave off radio signels. Number one, but it's hard to say. I mean, with the world that we live in now, if an alien species doesn't have weapons, right, to give us, what else would we, you know what I mean? What else would we have to offer them? What else would they have to offer us? Our governments are the only people that are involved with them, and the only things that they're interested in is maintaining power. So even if an alien species did come and say, hey, here's the algorithm that you need to be able to create food unendingly. Any food that you want to make, the problem with hunger is over. Well, look, we don't want to hear that, right? If they come in, if they come in and say, hey, this is intergalactic travel, you guys will no longer, this is unending energy. In one little cube, you can power the entire planet, right? We don't want to hear that either. The things that we're interested in, I don't think that they would have to offer us. I think they may have stopped by and kept going. When they give you something like that and your immediate response is, how can I murder my enemies with it? I mean, what are you fucking going to say to that? All right, later, guys. We bring you interstellar fucking travel. Yes, but what do the Russians have? I don't know, man.
It's just like, this is the retarded race. Let's just keep on going.
Yeah, like what? I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall here.
Oh god.
Here, we're going to show you how to manipulate your set cells so that you don't get cancer or have genetic birth defects. Oh, is it evil? No. But what about the pharmaceutical industry? I don't know what that is. You have industries that make money off of sick people? Cool. And this is important to you. Why?
Oh, speaking of which, yeah, I kind of wanted to get onto the pharmaceutical, about that the thing that I talked about earlier before the show.
Suzeki?
Yeah. No. Oh no. Yeah. There's this. Oh no. This is the other guys. This is There's two companies out there now. I was showing even Preston commented on it before the show a couple days ago, that there's a company out there, the Odin Project, and these are self-proclaimed what they call biohackers, which are trying to improve on medical. They're trying to do medical, trying to give the public access to medicines, or produce their own medicines that normally wouldn't happen without the enormous amount of funding. So and specifically the Odin Project is focused on do-it-yourself gene therapy and selling DNA kits. It's not. I would say that the everything that you can get for the $1,800 kit that they send you, It's not super super duper advanced, but or I said super duper super advanced, but uh, it's damn close to something that you would get for $50,000, if not
So
more.
gene therapy does exist. So, and it's been, there are plenty of diseases out there that are treatable with gene therapy. So, if you have literally a genetic flaw, with an injection of some sort, they can, they can edit your genes so that it no longer has that flaw. Especially with birth defects and things like that. There's quite a list of the things that they can do. But when there's genetic issues, they can repair them with these things. They are super expensive. Really, the therapies, when they're saying $50, 50,000, it's like 50,000 for the treatment, one treatment kind of thing.
Yeah,
They're extremely expensive, but it is a technology that exists out there. We're getting to the point. Any one of these technologies probably could take care, curing cancer, curing a lot of these diseases, Alzheimer's, things that we can fix that are in your genes, probably could have been cured heaps of ways, cancer heaps of ways.
well
The
they
problem is that they're not looking for the cure. So you come to a certain point and it's like, look, you could cure it with gene therapy. You
yeah,
could cure
that's
it with
actually
stem cell
true. They
research. You could cure it with cancer research. We can keep on finding cures for cancer, but as soon as we get to a cure, well, you're not looking for a cure. So then, we have to move on to the next thing. There comes a time when it's all like, look, there's only so much matter, there's only so many cells in the human body. We can cure cancer like 1,000 ways, but these pharmaceutical companies don't want to cure these diseases,
well then not
right?
only
They
that,
want to charge you money
these
to keep you sick.
yeah, these guys got a cease and desist letter, from the Food and Drug Administration for giving people access to this kind of machinery or to this kind of technology at prices anybody could afford to do this kind of stuff at their home.
Oh, remember when our government went through and, literally sent men with guns, hired goons, right, to medical research facilities that were working on stem cell research, smashed up their labs, confiscated everything. And they didn't just say, that it was, it was immoral, was their first set. And then, it's illegal, blah. They went all the way down that it was like, that it was on a spiritual level. It was evil. It was a work of the devil. It was, you know what I mean? It was in the Bible that we should not use stem cell research. These guys came out and said that stuff. And now it seems that stem cell research has an infinite number of ways that it could have helped us. Go back and look at all these politicians that made just absurd statements about it. They say the same things about cannabis research. They say the same things about gene therapy, right? All of these ways that we've now had to go around. Once they said, okay, you can't research stem research. Okay, well then, there was a little bit of progress curing these diseases in gene therapy. So we'll really start focusing on that. As soon as you start making progress in that, oh, well, then you can't do gene therapy. It's evil, right? It's going to cause the end of the world. And not that it's actually going to save people's lives. That the kid that's seizing out, that lives there every day of their life in pain, right, could be treated with cannabis products, right? Can be treated with a plant that grows in their backyard.
Yeah, they can
They're
literally
against
grow it
that.
for they can literally grow it in their backyard for dirt cheap and get the medication. Not have to pay anybody for anything other than the price of water and seeds.
Yeah, and you'll see the people that are there, and they're all like, it's not the pharmaceutical companies that are the ones that are fighting against it. And it's all like, look, that same child is filled with medications that are supposed to stop the seizures that do not. But yet a couple of drops of this liquid and they can live a normal life, play in the backyard with their friends and family. Like, those are the things that they're against. It's crazy. But it's just like one more way. And as they shut down this, we will find another way again to cure these diseases. But the truth is that there's several ways to cure these diseases. Lots of them. They just have no intention of doing it. They make their money off of you being sick for your entire life.
That's absolutely true. Some of these biohackers have been, that I was looking at some of their forums. They had hypothetical cures for cancer into genetically engineering viruses to a specific person, right? and it would attack the cancer cells in that person, but you couldn't use the same virus in somebody else. But there's all sorts of shit that's out there that's cutting edge. But the FDA is a limiting factor. They go, it's not safe, it's not proven. And I'm like, well, these guys are doing it in their backyards for like.
Well, and that's the deal. If you come out and say, "Hey, we may have a cure for cancer," and we're not talking about some guy that's in their basement, right? But these are real researchers. This is real science. When they say, "Hey, we might have a cure for cancer," the government shuts that down. But if you're fen-phen, right, you're on every single fucking store across the country. Right? If you're a weight loss product, if you're a weight gain product, right? If we, tell you that it'll make your hair grow back, right? They will fill your body with it without question. Fuck, we don't even know what's in our food, right? If you're Monsanto, you get patents and you can put poison out the next fucking day, right? But if you say, hey, we may have a cure for cancer, right, guys, it's going to take decades for us to get the paperwork for that. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they find like the slowest DMVs in the country and put those people in charge of it.
Yeah. And if you don't have that Tourette's or problem or whatever it is, you're sure to get it. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, that's the deal. The diseases keep going up. Look, when you have things like, that are childhood diseases now, the fact that so many of our kids are on drugs now for these mystery diagnoses that they never look any farther in. If a huge person, if there's been this explosion in ADD and ADHD and all of that, do we not want to know why? You can't figure out why?
Yeah, they literally have no clue for it.
Do know.
Yeah.
So some of it we do know, right? 90% of the water in our faucets, right, is polluted in one way or another. They can argue all day till they're blue in the face on whether fluoride causes problems in children. But you can't argue that the huge amounts of fucking lead that you're pumping into the population of Flint doesn't. Like, we know that, right?
Yeah.
Like they argue about the two things. Like, okay, fair enough. So I guess we don't know whether it's fluoride. So can you take all of everything but fluoride out of our water? Like, the water's poison whether the fluoride's in it or not. Shit, if you go down to the Navajo reservations, if you go down to places in fucking New Mexico, the water's radioactive.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I have heard that. Like, they have uranium in the parts per billion out there.
Oh, it's insane, man. We brought one of our Geiger counters there. And like live stream the numbers, and I mean, the woman, it was at her grandfather's house, and like the woman that's doing the that's recording is literally crying. Her entire family had been raised there, and this is where the government chose to build the housing, right, towards the layout where this reservation lies. Right, they did it on purpose. They purposefully put these people on radioactive land.
God, naturally radioactive, or was it?
No. This is okay. When you talk about the nuclear, the military-industrial complex, our nuclear program. So we needed nukes so bad, we stripped this area for uranium and then left open pits. So they didn't close up or clean up anything. They just stripped the uranium out of it and left the uranium in these giant open piles. And then, they took all the uranium that they could and then just left, closed up the companies. There's nobody to take to court. We don't know anything about it. And since it's the nuclear program, there ain't shit you can do about it. And the pits are still open.
Yeah, that's a big hazard. Yeah, that radioactive dust is going to blow everywhere.
Oh, it's not. I mean, it's as radioactive as Fukushima.
I believe it.
Right, and it's like, fuck, man, it's insane. It's insane. But when you think of those things, those are the decisions that the people in charge are making. Look, we can argue whether the fluoride is causing these problems, but I bet you the lead is. I bet you the fracking oil is. You know what I mean? The things that we do know are in our water now are worse.
You know what they might have to do is just tell the average. Well, and get rid of the fluoride and tell the average owner just to install carbon filters in everything that they use in their daily life, everything from bathing water to drinking water, and have it installed in every home. You know.
Well, and I remember being in Malaysia, right? And I mean, the smog there is insane, right? I mean, acid rain every single day. And I remember seeing these group of people go by on one of the motor scooters, and they had their face masks on, right? Everybody wears face masks because you can't breathe the air. And it had like all these like cool designs on it. You know, there were people going by that had Louis Vuitton face masks, you know, that print. There were people that went by that had like little Hello Kitty ones and one for kids and all of that. And I thought, is that the world that we're looking forward to? You know that it's became a complete nightmare when you're average people. It's now became stylish, right? It's part of your life.
Yeah.
You know, like it's part of you when you get up in the morning, you put on your shoes and you put on your face mask because you can't breathe the air outside. Right. And that was like a glimpse into the world that if we continue on this run, you won't be able to breathe the air. Right. You'll have, you know, would you like the Louis Vuitton water filter to your house? Because there is nowhere. You can't drink the water that falls out of the sky. You can't drink the water out of the ground. You can't drink the water in the lakes. You can't drink the water out of your faucet. Right. Is that the world that we're going to, where it's just normal life, the toxic environment that they've built? And all around fucking fossil fuels, guys. From like start to finish.
And the cell phone factories and the cadmium. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's in unlike any other time. In this case, like we have the answer already. It's been held back for almost 60 years. Like we have the answer. It's here. We can build it in huge amounts. We need the manpower is here. The technology is here. Like all of the parts of the puzzle are here. And they're saying that we can't do it because it's not going to make a couple of people at ExxonMobil extra money. Y'all are already trillionaires, but you know, look, we got to wreck the rest of the planet to squeeze that last little fucking bit out.
Yeah. It's craziness.
We're down to the last, we're fighting for the last forest in the Philippines. The last one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, fuck, man. We just got to get it together. Like, it's got to take, like, we got to get it together. We have to organize. Although, like, I know we're going to talk about censorship and all of that stuff. But we have to organize. We have to keep the word out. We have to keep sharing and connecting with each other. Like we can't let them win in this instance. Like there really is no choice. We got to work together to make this happen. We got to undo this. And there's 7 billion of us. There's only 3,000 of them. As soon as we realize that, it will be such an awakening. Like, why are we murdering each other and destroying our planet for 3,000 assholes? Fuck them.
Well, they've convinced us that money is the end all, reality, the thing that we need to buy goods and what we need. And
fair enough,
yeah.
Right? So we're going to keep working on the money system. We're just not going to use it. We're just not going to work on debt. Like, take your trillions of dollars and fuck off.
Yeah, for the most part. Oh, speaking of which, I did want to talk about. There's been some backlash on the alternative currencies. It's co-sponsored by the I would say the Federal Reserve System, but I'll get onto that later.
Yeah, cryptocurrencies are hard. I think people, when we moved from seashells to coins, it was a hard go-to. A lot of people they'd used seashells all their life. Right. I heard a lot of people are counterfeiting these fucking, these gold coins. I rather keep with the seashell system that we have, and switching from one system like that to the next system is always difficult, and finding out the ins and outs. It'll stabilize eventually. I mean, the point is cryptocurrency and working on a monetary system that doesn't rely solely on debt, on enslaving its population, are going to be the two things that are going to change. I'm not one of those people that believes that we can run the world by just trading, rice for apples. Like that's not going to work on a big basis. We need to do that on a small basis between ourselves and communities. We need to grow our own food and trade with each other. But look, if I need to move right? 10,000, 10 million pounds of rice from Asia to Africa, right? How many apples are you going to give me for that? How many apples do I have to pay my workers for that, right? So we do need a monetary system. It just doesn't have to work on one that screws us over. That's the deal. We're not asking for a perfect system. We're just asking for a system that doesn't fuck us.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Right. So, I mean, cryptocurrency is going to be a big part of that, and is probably, a piece of what the world is going to go to. Getting rid of the Federal Reserve and our banking system that works purely on debt is going to have to be get rid of. And then I think we would have no problem agreeing on a monetary system that we can all use, right? A world dollar.
Well, yeah,
Like, that's
it's a threat.
come.
It's a threat to every country in the world that I can spend one currency and use it in every country, and it's not in congruence with your own currency. It's a threat.
Yeah, and it's going to be electronic because we've seen when it was paper money, the people that control that, right? Once everything goes, once it's electronic, well then, look, if I want to buy something from someone in Kenya, right? Why do I have to pay this company a shitload of money, this person a lot of money? I can just go to their website, my PayPal goes to their PayPal, and they send it to me.
Yeah.
Right? It circumvents a lot of people that had their fingers in your pockets. And, that's scary to them. But look, at the end of the day, like it or not, we're going to move to an electronic currency system, right? And that immediately puts us in step to having a global currency system. Now, doing it outside of the Rothschilds is going to be extremely important. Right? It has to be a monetary system that works for the people and not for very select families in the world. It's probably not going to be based on gold, right? And these guys have spent an exorbitant amount of time, effort, and murder to collect up as many shiny rocks as possible, right? And as soon as those shiny rocks aren't worth anything anymore, they start getting stressed out.
Yeah, it almost has, to be honest with you, gold is really, to be honest, it really doesn't have that many practical applications besides microelectronics. And they
which is where it's most valuable to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to give a shout out to real quick the museum that, as a joke, wanted, when Trump asked for for one of the paintings at their museum, as a joke, offered him the solid gold toilet.
For real?
Right? Yeah. That gold toilet is worth $3.5 million. I'd like to see if anybody has the contact information. Contact the museum. Contact the artist. Say, hey, we'd like to get like a 3D render of it so people can look around and see the gold shitter. But is there some way for us to donate that to get working water filters for all the schools in Flint?
Yeah.
Right? $3.5 million. I could get every single fucking school in the Flint area working water filters, right? And donate it. We're going to do, we'll 3D render it so people can still go and see that you had it every year. But you know what I mean? Enough with the rich guy jokes, right? You've got access to something that could actually do some good, and you're willing to flaunt it in front of another rich guy, and we're supposed to clap our hands, right?
Yeah.
Do something like real with it. So if y'all can contact them, send them to me, and we'll do something cool with it. And I think maybe the artist would be down to hook it up. And like I said, we'll 3D render it. You can put on your Google glasses and go and check it out, right? But come on, that's stupid as fuck. And on the outside, it looked real funny that he asked for a painting, and instead of a painting, you tried to give him a solid gold toilet. But the point is, you have a solid gold fucking toilet.
Is it 24? Is it 24 karat or is it 24 karat plated?
It's a solid gold working toilet. That should not exist, right? If you're shitting on a solid gold toilet right now, you're a total douche.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because solid gold is like flimsy as fucking pencil.
You know what? Chances are, if you've ever shat on a gold toilet, you're a douche.
Well, I mean, that'd be kind of weird, being, sitting on a metal object like that. I mean, if you don't have the temperature just right, it's going to be a little hot or a little cold. It's going to be hard to get that right.
That's going to be like a rich prison toilet.
Weird.
At least it's not brass.
I don't know. Like, yeah, it's one of those things where, I'm going to do a live stream later about the mega churches, and it's that same thing. Look, guys, you have so much fucking cash. right? There's so much that needs done. If you're part of those congregations, give to somewhere that's going to actually help people, right? Like, these guys do not need another mansion, do not need another private jet. They don't need any of that stuff. Like, we could put that organization and that work and those people's good hearts to actually do some good. And like in things that we have like real numbers with, right? I hate to say it. Look, if you're a Catholic, do not give money to the Catholic Church right now. Give it to us, and we will get people solar generators in Puerto Rico before the next hurricane comes. We'll get people water filters that can give an entire community fresh water before the hurricane comes next year, because the fucking FEMA sure as fuck isn't going to do it. And the church has billions and billions of dollars and is taking in billions of dollars, and they're not going to fucking do it. Right? Like, we've got numbers in places that we can actually help people in, but we got to quit giving our money to charlatans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't believe they get that many people to do that. I mean, that
They don't
really
have
is
any
stunning.
competition. Like, nobody ever comes out and when was the last time like really called them the fuck out? Every Sunday, I'm on your shit, right? And like, there isn't any like blowback to it. They get away with it because nobody's willing to call them out. Nobody's ever walked up to the Pope and been like, look, okay, if you're really against the child molestation thing, just give us the list of all the child molesters in the church that you moved around. Right? I realize that you said you support what's going on in the Me Too movement and all of that. You have access to those records. Give us those peoples and we'll go fucking arrest them right now. If you really support it, that's all that needs to be done. Some fucking justice. But no, nothing.
No, not going to happen.
No, not at all.
Wasn't the Pope or like the bishops, they were in on this whole underground moving? They would move like a pope that was suspected of child molestation into like another country, and like it was like a whole fucking like it was like a whole like cover like it like
okay. Well, like the guy that Ratzinger, I think is his actual name, Pope Benedict, right? That was the deal. He was a fall guy, right? So I mean, he was picked to be a bad guy, and he was kind of the last person to get caught and took the heat for moving these people around. Benedict, or the Pope Francis, the one we have now, is the one that took over for him, which is the good cop version. But the deal is, he's not immediately releasing all of those records to Interpol, and it's not like it gets any higher. I'm the freaking Pope.
Well, technically,
Like,
because the Vatican is its own country with its own governing laws. They don't have to answer to anybody. I don't even think that they're part.
They don't, but that's the deal. Like, there is nobody else that, as far as their hierarchy goes, right? Next stop is JC, right? Next stop is God. So you can't say that, like, hey, you are accountable to anyone else.
He's like, Jesus will forgive me. Jesus will forgive me.
It's more than it's more than that. They actually say that they can change elements of the Bible and put Mary over Jesus. They claim they can do anything, Terrence.
Well, I mean, that's the deal. Like, it's there. I personally believe there's a kernel of truth in most of these times. I think that if there was a God, it seems that they have sent messages to us several times. Like most things, we don't hear it. I don't believe in 99% of what's said in the Bible. There's this little part where Jesus was there. God had one chance to send, in that story, had one chance to send, his voice to the planet, and he didn't mention any of the shit you guys are talking about. Right? I would say if there was one, like, nothing. Love thy neighbor. Oh, we need the promised land. Let's murder each other, enslave each other. Like, none of that shit. There's if you only had one chance to be your voice on earth, I imagine what he said was the most important shit. And he doesn't mention homosexuality not one time. Doesn't mention your oil prophets on why they're a sanctity of God not one fucking time. There's like none of the things that we're talking about Jesus said when he came to the planet. I would say when things don't add up, their chances are put in there by man. If God's telling you to murder people, it's not God you're talking to. God doesn't need your help murdering people. If God wants you dead, you're just fucking dead. So like anybody that's coming out, and that goes like the Muslim extremists that are out there claiming that God needs them to murder people, that God needs them to do this. God don't need you to do shit. right? If that person exists, if that deity exists, it's the most powerful deity in the universe. It doesn't need you to do a dirty work. If God wants you dead, you turn to salt. Boom, done, over.
Yeah.
Right? So any other time that doesn't happen, that's the evil of man, right? Just using that guise that they use over and over again. You're doing this as the will of God. God does what he wants, with or without you, right? If God wants you dead, it does not need your help at all. God doesn't need your help to do anything, created the universe, right? If that's a storyline that you believe in, but then these same groups of people, this same evil infiltrates religion over and over and over again. Every time God's came to the planet, whether it's Buddha, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Muhammad, they've all told you don't need a church and to quit giving your money to these assholes. And yet every single one of them is immediately like, oh yeah, we're going to need all of your money. Just talk to God. And fuck, he's broke again. I know Jesus was just here and said that he didn't need it, but bills pop up and this and that. Yeah, turns out he needs all of your money.
Cephalodollar.
Yeah, fuck, all of it. No, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's Cephalodollar, whether it's the Pope, whether it's a king, right? Whether it's the elite, they need all of your money. It's like the same story. I just talked to God. He said he needs all of your money.
Didn't George who's that comedian George whatever his name was used to have that God rant? What was it?
Carlin?
Yeah, George Carlin. Yeah.
That sounds like Carlin. That's my own personal idol, man. Because he says it like I try to do that in my speech when I'm talking on here too. It's a real weapon in the being able to get people to laugh at a punchline that's making fun of something that they support in most cases. By the time they're done laughing, it takes away the ability to respond like you normally would. It's absolutely hilarious, and you're so busy laughing you can't respond. It becomes truth at that point, and it's such a huge weapon that he was able to use over and over. It rings true today. If you can say it in a punchline, you can do way more damage than saying it in like a hate mail. It's just the way that the human mind works. And a lot of these things, when you step back and look at them, if they weren't tragedies, it would be a comedy. It's absolutely hilarious that we're still doing this. Absolutely hilarious that we still buy the bullshit, that we still like march along, that we still believe the pharmaceutical companies it's amazing. It's hilarious. It's a comedy.
I remember asked one of my friends who goes to church, like he goes to church a lot, and I asked him, where does the Bible talk about the tithing and shit? And he couldn't answer it, and I'm like, are you sure it's somewhere in there that God needs money for churches and shit? Like,
well, you're supposed to, and like, look, it's the thing. People want to give, so you're supposed to be. It talks about putting some of your land aside, right, for Christians that are on. How it worked was for people that were on the pilgrimage back to Jerusalem, right? They would make these long journeys back and forth to Europe, right? And in that, you'd have these groups of people that would come by, and for that, you would put out a piece of your land, right? Part of your garden, part of whatever your farm is, for those people that came by, and they could get the food that was there. That's what it was supposed to be. And as times went on, it's changed into give your preacher money. Now, that doesn't mean that, this isn't talking about small congregations. Your mom, the church your grandma goes to probably, is doing the right thing. It goes to keep on the lights and put a little bit of white paint on the outside, right? It really does go to the real deal. But that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about these global entities that guise themselves as religious leaders, right? These mega churches that have nothing to do with the Bible, have nothing to do with Christianity, that are only there to make their preachers money, to make, they're eating off of gold plates, y'all. Gold fucking plates. We're starving out here. And that somehow that's given to you by God. If God wants you to have gold plates, you don't have to take it out of the teeth of your congregation, right? If God wants you to have gold plates, you'll wake up in the morning and you'll have gold plates. That's how it works. But we fall in line in a heartbeat. It's a trick that's worked a long time, and it's real hard to fight against because people, immediately if you say, hey, I'm against organized religion, they immediately push into the, you're against religion, or that you're against spirituality, or that you're against atheism. None of those things really, I think, have anything to do with each other. Waking up and realizing that if there is a God, you're gonna have to work that out personally with them, right? That you don't have to go through another person and give them all of your money, right, to have some connection with God. Created the whole planet for you to enjoy, the entire universe, possibly even a multiverse. And we're stuck murdering each other off of one little tiny spot in the middle of the desert. Like, you obviously, when I sent Jesus back, you obviously did not get the gist of what I was saying. Like, when you think God's looking down at Jerusalem right now and is all like, fuck, these guys just don't get it. They just don't get it.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
No, it's a hard, like, it's if there's a system that's hard to fight against, it's like that pyramid scheme that seems to be built into the human condition sometimes. That if we just, if we can give to somebody that we trust, that good things will happen, but so few people are actually trustable. And the people that are normally involved in organized religion like that are the worst of the worst, because they're taking advantage of people's faith, of people's trust right away. To be a religious person, to a spiritual person, you have to trust, right? You trust, the truths that you can't always see. So in extension, you trust that giving that money to that person is somehow going to help, that they're a good person, and not that you're buying Cephalodala a new set of gaiters.
Yeah.
I want those shoes, motherfucker. You know I do. Coming for you, Cephalo. We're getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, he's not gonna. I swear, I will end every single fucking statement with "fuck Monsanto" and "I'm coming for you, Cephalo."
Dude, those mega churches, man, like the money.
He's got to be like. There's so many other like.
Oh, the Crystal Cathedral was another one, but they went bankrupt. Remember?
But I mean, even when you think of like the great things that have went down in the world, right? So I mean, the pyramids. Well, I mean, we all agree that we built those pyramids and used all that manpower and that gold for a god that doesn't exist. Nobody believes in Ra anymore, right? There's like all of those deities over all of those people that claim to be deities and took all of that hard work and sweat and blood, right? Was all for nothing. It's a cool triangle in the middle of the desert. But, looking back, we could have spent those resources on the people and done so much, much better, so much more amazing things. You can say that for every grand castle across Europe, every single one of those people. They're lords and ladies of the manor, right? Every single one of those people believed that they were gods. Every single one of those kings that took all of those resources believed that they were gods and made their people believe that they were gods. And they were really every giant cathedral, every, great palace, right, was built for nothing. Imagine if that was spent on the people. Every gigantic mansion that Cephalodala has, right, imagine if we could have spent those kind of resources on the people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And they're all part of the same, they're all part of that same pyramid scheme.
Well, he needed that.
And it is a pyramid scheme. Give me all your shit. I just talked to God. He told me he needs all your shit.
What does he need $25 million fucking airplane for, dude?
But that's the deal. Like, we're scraping together to try to get Flint a workable, like, sustainable water system. And pretty much all we need to do is get people, is get water filters that are actually filter the water. Right, we're scraping together for 3 million here, 1 million there. Just trying to, possibly help as many people as possible. And these guys spend, 125 million, 25 million, 30 million on nothing, off of the backs of people that are working hard.
All for him. Doesn't he, go to sleep at night thinking like he's a bad person, like,
No,
I've always
nope.
been under this because it's always, it's those, oh well, if you somehow repent, You know, that no matter how horrible a thing that you do throughout your life, if you pull out at the last minute, you're all good. And honestly, number one, I believe that I don't. If there is a God, I don't think he's restricted by any laws that man puts on Earth. Maybe even laws of the universe and space and time. So, look, if you are that horrible of a person, there's no getting out of it. You know, I do believe that you'll pay the piper, whether you repent at the last minute or not. Right. So, I mean, if Hitler at the last second said, oh, you know, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, when you get up there, I still think you're rotten in hell. You can't, like, come up to the gates and be like, hey, you know, I said I'm sorry, even though I murdered millions and millions of people. And they're just going to be like, ah, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I turned those motherfuckers to salt. But flooded the entire planet without thought. But you repented at the last second. You're in. I don't think that those kind of laws like apply to God, and I don't think that those are things that man thinks up. It's things like that make me know that they're not truly inspired, because you think that you could put a thought, a law like that only affects man, right, on to God. And I don't.
Well, I'm like, does the same law apply to Hitler or Mao Zedong or
no.
Stalin?
Y'all all go into a fiery pit of hell. Come on, don't fucking kid yourself. You know, like it's one of those things. Like, nah, you were a mass murderer and a fucking people eater. You're going to hell. I know what it says in the book.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer said he believed in Jesus before he died. He goes to heaven, right?
Nah, come on. I think they would be laughing just as much as we are. And I want you think, hey, you know what? On page 179, it clearly states.
As you're going down, the escalator's going down. You're like,
yeah.
Wait, where am I going?
Yeah, and you'd think they'd answer you the same way. First of all, like, who the fuck wrote this? This has just got a bunch of rape and murder in it. I sent you a spokesman like several times. Were you not listening? That part where it's where Jesus said you should love your neighbor. I didn't mean murder him. I really didn't. When I sent Buddha, when I sent Muhammad down there, that said the pen of the quill is mightier than the sword. I meant that. Not that you should strap TNT to your chest and blow yourself up in a large public enemy area. That is totally not what I meant. I think Buddha's like the same way. You know, Mao Zedong definitely strict Buddhist. Y'all are not listening.
Well, you know, that's the thing, though. They according to the church, I mean, you know, there's some people that argue for works, but most of it is you're saved by the salvation. You know, your salvation is just believing in Jesus. That's all you need.
Yeah, which I think, look, that
and it just doesn't doesn't quite jive. You know.
Yeah, when I say that there's a spark of truth through all that hatred and control and weird religious practices, you need to cut off the end of your penis. I need you to sacrifice your firstborn son. Weirdness, right? There is a kernel of truth, and that right there, you know what I mean, is the kernel. Your relationship with God is your relationship with God. You don't need another person and to give another person money to do that. And that's the difference between organized religion and actual religion, is that if you believe in Jesus, all you got to do is believe in Jesus. That's between you and Jesus, not you, the Jesus and Pope. That's weird. You know what I mean? Like, with all of those like personal things, you know, there's not like, and they always seem to get into. I'll talk about sex because that seems to be the things that they go into. It's also weird. Like, that's between you and whoever you're making love to, not you, whoever you're making love to, and the Pope.
And the priest.
That's a threesome. That's weird. I mean, acceptable. Threesome is better than having the Pope stand there, to be honest with you. If we're gonna go in freakiness.
You and that guy and that other guy and that other guy and that girl.
Yeah,
and that
like at
goat.
a certain point, they're always trying to get into things that you really shouldn't. Where are you going to the bathroom? Look, man, don't worry about where I'm pissing or where anybody else is pissing. Do you know that the person next to you that's pissing might have a penis? I don't know, man. Eyes front. Why are you talking to me? Like, there's certain There's like there's certain things where it's like, look, I really don't care where you pee at. Male, female, trans, gay, straight, eyes fucking front. Why are you people talking to each other in the bathroom? I don't want to see yours. You don't have to see mine, kind of thing. But immediately, it's people that shouldn't be involved in your personal life that feel an overt need to be involved in your personal life. And guess what? They just talked to God, and God didn't like it either. Like, over and over, we buy that same excuse. Well, can I talk to him? No. He said he only wants to talk to the Pope. Oh, that's weird. Looks like I thought that he made all of us. Yeah, he made all of you, but only wants to talk to the Pope and my 6 friends. So we're all clear. The Pope and my 6 friends.
There's even there's even some weirder shit, within the church that's like that.
Well, there's like weird. There's just stuff that's weird, man. Like there's that practice in several sects in Judaism where after they circumcise you, the rabbi like sucks off the blood, and this one rabbi gave all of these kids like VD. What the fuck? Oh, this is not made
true.
up. This is like real deal, man. And then like
No, that's
see
true.
the videos, like go and watch the video. Just type it in, and you're all like, okay. Now, I don't have to read the Torah or the Bible to know, right? Whatever the fuck's going on here has nothing to do with God. Right? Like you don't even have to look into it. Whatever caused this to fucking be is weird, guys. Like and why the first person did not call them out on this. Like, hey, I just talked to God. Number one thing, he needs everybody to cut off the end of their penis. Wait, why? Well, to show that you really love him. Look, man, I'm not cutting off the end of my penis. That is weird. Why does God need that? He's got to have a thing for foreskins or against foreskins. Why did he make me with a foreskin? I've got a lot of questions. Why does he want my foreskin gone, but my dog's not? My dog's got like an extra foreskin. What the fuck's going on? But they come up with weird shit like that. We need you to sacrifice your children to the volcano god or your crops won't grow.
Or cut lips into your, other religions where they believe that you need to cut lips in your put plates in your lips or whatever the fuck it is.
Or like, circumcise your daughters. Just
FGM, yeah,
reproductive organs.
Female mutilation.
Yeah, that's like, what the fuck? And it's things like that you get with organized.
Well, they believe
at some point some guy told you that God said that was cool.
Well,
or needed that in any way, shape,
the belief
or form.
in that one stems from that females should not be allowed to enjoy the sensations of sex or some shit like that.
Look, you're already with a guy that gets off on mutilating your vagina, so I can't imagine it was going to be pleasurable with or without that.
Yeah. Some weird ass shit, man.
Yeah, because if there's one thing that hardcore devout religious nuts are known for, it's being great in bed. Maybe that was just a pun. Like God's got a good sense of humor. But whoever came, when people come up with ideas like that, we really needed to immediately call them out on being fucking crazy.
Well, that's they should have said that about 1,000 years ago. Be like, dude, wait, the weird guy in the corner that he's like staring at little kids and shit suggested this. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, well, that guy that keeps on dragging his kids up to the top of the mountain and slitting their throats. Why are we trusting this dude? Or even then, when it comes to like the big evangelical movement that kind of swept our government, do not trust people that are dead set on the apocalypse to run your country. That's like having a suicidal bus driver.
Yeah.
You know, like there's people that are, there's people that are going out. We could, that are literally like go to churches and come out and say things that they're looking forward to the apocalypse, and then wonder why they're moving us towards the apocalypse. I mean, and these are really, like, even in that, these guys are really bad at their job. I mean, you take it, our plan for survival of our country, if the nuclear war happens, is for our entire government to be locked up underground. Our entire government are 60 to 80-year-old men.
Yeah.
How is that going to work? Like, you do realize that y'all can't reproduce, right? Like, the best thing to do would be not destroy all the people on the planet. But their idea, in case shit goes wrong, is to lock themselves in a mountain so that they continue to run a non-existent country with 80-year-old guys in some sort of weird underground retirement home. That's your plan.
Jesus.
Mutual assured destruction, guys. That is the plan. Not mutual assured survival. Mutual assured destruction. Your number one plan is that if you get attacked, to murder everyone. That's like getting in a fight with your neighbor and executing the entire block, the entire city. Like, we can't have those people running our country. They don't come up with good ideas. Uh-oh.
Sorry. No, I'm here.
No, I guess a bunch of people can't hear me, which is normal. We get used to it.
Who said that on the comments?
Well, no, somebody just sent me a message. And they said, we can't hear you in Sweden.
Huh.
And we can't hear you in Venezuela.
Oh, that's weird. I can hear you. Wait, let me see if we're... let me see.
It'll get shared, so hopefully somebody... I mean, I guess that brings us to the next, topic, which was censorship.
Oh, yeah, so one of our guys... Yeah, so I wanted to cover something, and this is something we've talked about over and over and over in the shows, but something did come up. A guest on our show, Lori Love, who's in a... he is a... you don't know anything on the backdrop of Lori Love. Lori Love is being... he was supposed to be extradited to the U.S. over an alleged hacking incident. He was supposed to go to jail for 99 years in the U.S. The UK wasn't going to extradite him and is going to have his trial in the UK. That's not what happened. But this week, Twitter decided to permanently ban his Twitter account. That'd be, and if you guys don't know who Lori Love is, it would be like well, they did do it. It'd be almost to the equivalent of when they took down the Julian Assange account and then regave him back everything. But he needs social media at this point, at least to voice his opinions and what's going on, and keeping us updated with his, what's going on with him. But this is really bad. Like you know what I mean? It's censorship on social media, and them just taking your accounts for no reason. Like, I personally thought it was a political move, by possibly somebody who is pro government, somebody in the Twitter administration specifically took down his account. Now, they said it was for threats of violence and harassment, and I'm like, I don't think that Lori Love has ever put out a tweet or anything of that nature. In fact, so much, he has a lawyer right now that is demanding a detailed. He wants a file and all of the paperwork that would be affiliated with this file to come to him, and he's getting a lawyer involved in this, but I'm not sure if he'll get it back. But still, this is getting ridiculous that we have to involve the courts just to keep ourselves on social media to get away from censorship. This is ridiculous, you know?
Yeah, that's what it's coming down to. It's like anytime you have a business or anything, you have to defend it.
Oh, did we lose Terrence? Terrence?
No, it's Preston. I don't know where that echo's coming from.
Hold on, let me see if I lost Terrence. Oh, Terrence is gone.
Uh-oh. That looks like, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where it's we have to fight the social media platforms tooth and nail on a legal battle, but they are literally dictating to us what we can and cannot have on their platforms. Now, if you guys want to find Lori Love and updates, you can find him on Facebook. Fuck Facebook as well. But his alternate place that he has moved to right now is a place called. Hold on, I got it. I got the app too. It's on. What's that? What is this? It's Mastodon.social. It's a Mastodon.social media, Mastodon.social.org, and his username is @xeb, and he's literally that's where you will find him posting, well, he's been posting a lot on his Facebook profile since his Twitter's gone down. But what they're doing to him it feels like it was like a similar move to what because Julian Assange was even retweeting what was going on with Lori Love, you know.
Yeah, I'm still curious about what he's going to face over there. The story kind of dropped off, but at least, I mean, he's gotten out of most of it, what he would face here, but still, it seems like he would get a pretty good sentence for
and
crime over there.
He's going to be needing all the support and coverage that he needs, and him to be banned off of a major social media site is just not. It's not cool. It just seems like it seemed like it was politically motivated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You notice it's not. Oh, I mean, there's a political slant to, Facebook and Twitter. It's a government slant. Anti-government slant. If you're anti-government, it doesn't matter what side you're on. You're going to have trouble. That's to me is the more major of the slant. So, it's therefore it fits why they would do that. He's one that they don't like. So he didn't have any strikes for doing anything, right? I mean, he's just
he basically
public figure.
Yeah, basic. I'm not sure if he got the verified status on his Twitter account. The Courage Foundation is saying that this is like the second time this has happened, but he had a good amount of followers on his Twitter page. I can't quote the amounts. I know it was one to several, maybe if not tens of thousands, following him. But this is utterly ridiculous. He wouldn't post anything that would. Yeah, we're talking about
Yes.
Lori Love and his Twitter account going down, and how it seems like it's politically motivated.
Well, I mean, look, I am censored like non-stop. Facebook is the worst, both shadow banning, soft censorship, as well as just straight out shutting down my pages, shutting down my posts. They make it so you can't use Messenger, so people will message me, I can't message them back. There's things that my friends and family members post that I can't see, even if I'm sitting right next to them. Twitter is not as bad, but I also don't have as big a following on Twitter. So, I might not be as big of a target, or they just, they've got bigger fish to fry.
I think they got bigger fish to fry, but I hear once they lock on to you, it's bad.
Well, I mean, and YouTube has been like hit and miss. Sometimes they're real hard on me, and sometimes they seem to let things go that I assume that they were going to shut me down for. So I will say that it's kind of obvious that they are targeting me, that they are targeting others, they are targeting everybody, targeting Alex Jones. It's not like a left-right thing. They're targeting anybody that's speaking out in any way, shape, or form and saying things that they don't want to hear. What those things are don't particularly matter. It's that they're trying to shut us all down. When it comes to getting the word out, we just have to share more. We have to keep at it. It's not working, but we have to continue to support the people that are speaking out, because if you were in front of the screen, that's exactly what you would be saying, right? So support. I don't care if they're just us, right? So if you're an Alex Jones fan, make sure they don't silence him, not because of what he's saying, but because he does have the right to say it.
They're trying to do that to him right now. They're deleting his videos, and now he's got several lawsuits coming after him. Basically, that they're what he's saying is kind of true. They're going after him after the stuff that's guaranteed under our First Amendment, which is I don't agree with all the shit that Alex says, but I do agree with him on this, that what he has the right to say shit, say anything he wants. He could say anything he wants. But now these lawsuits that are coming out, the one lawsuit, the other lawsuit, they might actually have something on him where he was using something that somebody else had. But
Pepe the Frog.
Yeah, Pepe the Frog. But but the thing is that Pepe the Frog, I don't believe was ever copyrighted. So if you didn't copyright it, anybody could draw that thing and put it, and it was on his InfoWars store. So that might or might not fly. But the whole Charlottesville,
and it is look, if it's not, I think it goes into the same thing that TYT did. I'm not if you don't own Pepe the Frog and you don't support supposedly what Pepe the Frog stands for, not what it stood for, but what it stands for now. And I don't think that's unknown to Alex Jones, right? He's a smart guy. He knows, like everybody else, that it's used as a tool for white supremacists. It's a symbol,
yeah,
right? So I mean, he doesn't support it, but because I don't like the corporatism that incorporates. TYT did it to us too. They were selling Defend the Sacred T-shirts, but then didn't really support as an organization the Standing Rock protests. Several of their people that worked there did, but they came out and said, look, we don't we don't necessarily disagree with the pipeline, or however he fucking put it, which is a smack in the face to using a symbol, right, which is the Defend the Sacred. And they fucked up the same way as I see Alex Jones fucking up. I don't really dig the pushing whatever weird pills he's on. I don't think he's a good spokesman. I don't want to turn into Alex Jones if that's what they do to you. Dude's lost it, but I do think he's more than if it's not violent, you can come out and say whatever you want. Why are we we were talking earlier, right? I don't need the government to come in and censor them for me. If I think he's full of shit, then I can say that. I'll watch it and decide that for myself. Because you guys always seem to pick the wrong people. You guys always seem to be the people that are talking about you or spreading truth about you for some reason. We can look for every other time that the government has tried to silence people. They've never came out on the side of truth. They've never came out on the side of good because of it. Right? The FBI's number one goal was to murder fucking Martin Luther King. Was that the right choice, right? To silence him, to censor him in the only way that they know how. They didn't have social media at the time, or fucking MLK would be censored right now.
Oh, they got the bullet.
Right?
They got the bullet censorship. Yeah.
Malcolm X would 100% be censored right now. Right? If you were in India, Gandhi would be censored right now. A person trying to organize people against an oppressive colonial regime, right? They would be censoring the fuck out of him right now.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine, you know, the activists and people that were speaking the truth? Can you imagine if they had a social media platform, and how Facebook and Twitter and the social media environment we exist in would have tried to silence them, said that it was conspiracies, right? They're crazy people. They're inciting riot. They're violent, right? Those are the same, you know what I mean? They're the same story over and over and over and over again. The tools change a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But the idea is always the same, right? Don't teach the slaves to read because they'll teach the other slaves to read. Right? And that's the underlying thing, right? Don't let people actually read because they'll look into the Bible and know you're full of shit. They might come up with their own ideas. Don't allow your people to print large amounts of papers because they'll spread their ideas. Right? Don't allow people to openly speak on social media because they'll spread their ideas.
Yeah,
And the things that they're against are people spreading peace, being against corporatism. Whether you like Alex or not, he's still in a weird way against the corporate elite. He's just extremely misguided.
a lot out there. Yeah, he's
yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, like, look, Alex, you know, whether you believe that they're intergalactic lizard people or not, I still think they're bad. They're bad, and we need to get rid of them. We can agree on that.
Do you remember that episode where he put tinfoil on his head? Said he was going to be the greatest internet meme. He said he was going to be the greatest internet meme of the internet, and then he wrapped some tinfoil on his head and called himself like a tinfoil hatter, and then it did become like one of the biggest internet memes.
Well, and I mean, and they always like they you know, being popular on the internet. I think our government, our political I don't know, puppeteers try to use that all the time. You know, Hillary Clinton is the most popular person of the year. I think you misunderstood what the word popular means, right? You know, so like you put in there, and yeah, I guess, you know, you are the most searched woman, you know, the most searched name on Google, but you're leaving out like what they're searching. You know, Hillary Clinton corruption. Right, is what the full, yeah, it's searched, yes, 100%. They put in her name more than anything else. Hillary Clinton corruption, right? Most popular woman on the internet. But popular for what? Like, you are an internet meme, but, you know, you're a caricature of what the problem is in the meme, not a symbol for the revolt against the corporate elite, which is what I think you were trying to do.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I wouldn't feel bad if she died on if she choked and died. Like I really wouldn't feel bad. Like,
or just for the good of the party, for the good of the people, can you just fuck off?
Yeah.
That's it. Like, you're rich, you're well connected, just fuck off. You know?
Please don't run again. Yeah, please.
No, whoever. This is a this is a plead from the people to the Democratic Party, right? Do not ever run Hillary Clinton again. I don't care why, love her or hate her. She's just bad for business, guys. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, for the good of the team, don't run Hillary Clinton. Anybody.
I heard she's gonna try and run again, dude. I heard that.
Every once in a while, she comes out and tweets or talks or says something, but never realizes you screwed the American people out of the president that they deserved, right? You did that. There's no getting around it, and until she comes to terms with that or acknowledges it in any way, shape, or form, every time she comes out, you're the cheating, lying person that fucked us out of Bernie Sanders. And that's like, no matter what she says, that whatever statement she makes can be completely erased and replaced with, you're the one that fucked Bernie Sanders out of the election. That's all that comes up. Like, just walk away. And whoever is in the back making these decisions needs to come out and say that. Like, that's, you know, it's inspiring and disheartening at the same time, because these people are so evil and so backhanded and yet can't see the obvious truth in front of them.
Yeah.
The Republican Party, right? Look, they would have existed with or without the NRA. Most gun owners don't even belong to the NRA. It's just people that you've taken shitloads of money from it. You should have taken that money and walked away. Instead, you alienated an entire generation of voters that now have the great experiences of getting out of school and marching with their friends, right? At 17, not realizing they're the people that have to vote in 2020. They're the only party that has alienated their voting population before they even had the right to vote.
Yeah.
Every student that went to school that day is rooting behind the kids that are standing up against they're standing up against gun violence, but what boils down to is Rubio standing there not admitting that he won't take any more money from the NRA. They exposed that whole fucking thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the protest. Yeah, I assumed those kids were just marching against the Second Amendment, and I was like, wait, do those kids know?
No,
they don't know. Do they even know? Do they even know
some sort of gun law, right? And I think if you listen to any of them, like we're not going to do anything at all is not working for that generation.
They think they don't. I mean, to think that they can change the gun laws would be to change our Constitution, and that's not going to happen. I mean, people have tried, but it's.
Well, I think what they're looking for is a raise to the age of 21, an extension of the waiting period.
They can't legally do that though. They can't. It's not. I don't.
If you can raise the drinking age to 21, you can raise the right to bear, the guns to bear arms. You just look. I didn't have my shit together, and I was serving in the military.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
I was quick to temper.
Yeah, that would be kind of a controversy because, like, can't you? Well, I guess
talking about this in our live stream, and that does start. Look, your average person, right, that served in World War II was 32.
I thought you could enlist when you were 16 back then in World War II.
You can enlist when you're 16 now with your parents' consent.
Yeah, so that's why.
I mean, it does. I can say, as a person that was serving at the time, right, I was no way prepared to murder people. But I was more than excited to do it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of what people even get to when they enlist in the military prepares them for what's coming ahead. Like,
oh no, not even close. But right in this same thought, because I can see that my decision making wasn't 100%. A longer waiting period to think about stuff is definitely needed. And 21, I don't think is being like obscene or against our right to bear arms. But I do think it'll cut down on school shootings. I also, when it comes to, and look, I own the dreaded you know what I mean? I own the dreaded Bushmaster, right? I own the assault weapon that everybody hates so much. And I don't think that's the issue. You do need to have a mental check before you have it, because crazies can get a hold of guns. And having no review is not working out for us. And I don't personally feel that don't by any means feel the need to agree with me.
Well, I automatically assumed, because in the state of California, if you do get a 5150 or what they would declare, it's equivalent to what they would declare you as crazy. I know this is state. I think this is state legislation that if you have one of those on your record, you cannot buy a firearm in the state of California.
Yeah, and that should be, look, okay, we're not robots is the deal, right? So when it comes to those things, look, people have stress in their lives, people have, whatever, people make bad decisions, all of those things. We can have a system that can look at you as a rational person. We don't have to be robots in any of it, right? But the fact is, if you've been, if you have mental illness, you shouldn't be able to get a hold of a firearm. That's just for my safety.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. If you've been a part of a violent crime, right, I don't think you should be able to get a hold of a firearm legally, right? You may be able to get a hold of one illegally, but dude, you're going to have to do it illegally. And like, that's like, I don't think that the no check is the way to do it, right? I don't believe that that a gun for absolutely everybody is the way to go. And I don't believe that taking the guns away from everybody is the way to go. And I think both of those extremes are like played upon a lot. But I do think we can come up with a rational decision that is better than the absolutely nothing that we're working
Well,
with
you,
now.
you heard what Nancy Pelosi wanted to do, right? She wanted to do the assault rifle ban again, and I was like, dude, we just got those things back. Like that's and even
But there was,
it's so bad.
I mean, there
it's so
was.
bad. And,
I don't.
and like
I
people
don't
don't
think
even
that
realize
that banning assault rifles is gonna work in the fact that there isn't an assault rifle is not really a good designation. That sounds like another way for you to figure out to have a constant,
banning.
funding for the ATF to find these.
Well, it's so bad now. If you own an AR-15 in America now, it's so bad that in a lot of states they have to be converted from 223 to 22 caliber, and now they can't have release mags. They have to have fixed mags with and you have to pull a pin and everything. And so it's like
okay.
even owning one of those is like a nightmare. So it's like, you know what I mean?
There's a couple of things to take into consideration. Okay. Number one, yes, our government does run the tyrannical. We are living in a police state right now.
Yeah.
Number two, you nor I, right, will be able to stand up against the militarized police and military that are used against us. Even your baddest dude with an AR-15 full auto, right, mags. Now he can mass murder people, but as far as fighting against a tyrannical government, guys, that's not going to happen. It's already gone that way. Right now, if we ever went to being all the way where they're rounding us up, putting us in the death camps, and we have to unify in an armed revolt, right? It's going to be bleeding our enemy to death, right? One guy with one bullet picks off one soldier, and we do that until they're done fighting, right? But as far as standing up with a fully automatic machine gun and standing off with the cops, that time has passed, right? They have drones. Once they've already crossed the line where they can use drones against American citizens. They're already starting to use them at their borders. It's only a matter of time until they arm them. It's only a matter of time until they make them small enough to go after single people. It's only a matter of time until they make, devices that can seek you out and find you as a single person, right? Your AR-15 is not going to help you against any of those. They're firing at you from hundreds of miles away, right? Possibly thousands of miles away. The person that's pushing the button doesn't give a fuck who you are or how far in the sticks you live. You'll do no better than the guerrilla fighters that stood up in Afghanistan. We proved that with machines we can bomb you to the end. We can look for you forever. We have no problem killing your family. It's just collateral damage. So in that case, your AR-15 and standing up against tyrannical government is not going to work that way. You're better off with a bolt-action rifle at that point. Bury it in the woods somewhere and don't tell nobody where the fuck it is. And if we did ever go to the place where our government is seeking us out and going from censoring us to putting holes in us, right, then that's how it's going to be done. But the time where we were going to stand up and fight against guys in tanks is over. And they've given our police departments tanks, right? They've got rocket launchers, right? The California Police Department has a fucking longbow, right? The AR-15 is absolutely positively useless against an Apache fully armed.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the enemy that we're fighting against. So look, they've won the military game, and because of that, we have to fight back in completely other ways. It may be time to specifically put in our Bill of Rights, right? We may have to put an amendment and add there that our government cannot use military force against its population at all, under any. But it was too. That's the deal. Look at outside. It was obviously too vague.
I thought it was posse comitatus, but there's loopholes around it,
Right. So fair enough, right? So when you come up and they say, hey, the reason that we've got heavily armed, right, thugs, government thugs on your street collecting for oil pipelines or whatever business we see fit, the reason that is because of loophole. Fair enough, motherfucker. Close the loophole.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of them using mercenaries and NATO and
not heard. They were using Tiger Swan against us at Standing Rock. They're using Tiger Swan against us right now in Louisiana, Georgia, right? Kentucky. Every state. Go on and look at the states that these mercenaries are operating in America. Right? This was the police state that that Alex Jones was fucking talking about. That the right was screaming about.
Yeah.
It didn't disappear. It's going on right in front of us. but the tactics that we use have to be completely different. You know, there should be a law saying that you cannot use mercenaries on American soil. You got to be fucking shitting me.
Yeah,
we can argue on whether you can use them overseas, right? That can be morally wrong. But no, in goddamn, you got to be fucking shitting me, dude. You can't use mercenaries against American soldiers. I mean, against American citizens.
Well, I know
That's
the
insanity.
the Second Amendment, does, well, that's for a well-armed militia. But yeah, as far as mercenaries, that's in that gray area, But
that's the deal. Like, no matter how well we stood up at Standing Rock against the most powerful police and military force on the planet, right? And we would not have been able to do that with AR-15s.
yeah,
It was against. It was, you know what I mean? It was against mercenaries. And in the end, the National Guard. My AR-15 is nothing against a 50 caliber machine gun.
Nope,
right?
You just
and they
get
had
blown
hundreds
away.
of them.
You get blown away.
Hundreds of them. But right, we'll undermine that entire industry fighting a completely different way. We just have to accept the fact that they've won that battle.
How?
Right?
I know you've given up on it, but how? How are you going to do that?
How are we going to what? Fight back?
Yeah, you've given up on that way, but you keep saying.
Well, I mean, number one, we've got quite
a few elections
coming up.
We're
going to have to vote these guys all the way out of office and literally start writing laws that undermine what we've seen here. Like, we're going to have to go back to being like American Revolutionary War style, right? We had a constitution already. That fucker was not working out for us. I owe no allegiance to the crown. No matter how many thousand of years that stood, that's not working out for us anymore, right? And we have the power now and the connections and the ability, if we can keep doing it, right? If we can keep from being censored, to undermine that. We got elections coming up in June, local and congressional. Right, we've got elections coming up in 2020. Right, we're gonna have to vote people in, and those people are gonna have to write laws that keep this shit from happening. No mercenaries used on American soil. We can argue whether whether you're allowed to use them overseas, and then why you would need to use a private military. We have an army if something needs to be done. Right, if you really need to get rid of a bad motherfucker, the SEALs can handle that. We don't need a private military lackey force. Right. But we need to put people in power that are going to actually stand for the people. And right now, the people that are in there don't. They don't represent the people at all. Even the ones that are Republicans in there, right, do not represent the conservatism at all. And we still, unfortunately for them, we still have the ability to vote. We can vote them out of office, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if they play their card, I would say if they played their if they played their cards right and didn't get lobbyists, and people in Congress, that are friends with Goldman Sachs and all the motherfuckers, it could be pulled off.
And this is something that I'll say. There has been a change. This next group of elected officials will be elected by social media, right? It's not, and we all agree that the corporate media is fucked. We don't really believe what politicians say. This next group of people is going to be elected, even up to the presidency. The presidency will be decided by social media in this upcoming election. Because of that, right, the lobbyists have lost their power. Everybody wants to know where you're getting money from. And we proved during the Bernie Sanders campaign that we can raise huge amounts of money at $10 a time. And that's what this next group of politicians is running off of. Before, it was the lobby that had the power. Now, if you want to keep your job, we want to know where your money's coming from, right? And we want to hear you say certain things. And none of these politicians that exist now are going to be able to do that because their power came from a completely different place. Completely different. A politician's life is made and broken right now on social media.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Right, one story comes out. Remember when you had that off comment about that sounded racist as fuck? Your career is over. Right? Remember that secretary that you may or may not have felt up? Whether it was true or not doesn't particularly matter.
How does Trump how he has so much shit coming at him, like this porn star and the fucking comments that he does threatening political leaders on social media, how does he get up? There's so much crazy shit coming out of his mouth that everybody forgets what the fuck he's saying.
Okay, there was a percentage of people that voted for Trump because he's a Republican and not Hillary Clinton. okay? Or they couldn't, they just don't agree with the Greens. Those are people that are actual conservatives, smaller government, blah, 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 blah. They also want green power and socialized healthcare and like normal stuff, right? But there's a percentage of the people that voted for Trump because he's a rich sleazeball. Because he's a womanizer. That's why they voted for him. That's the person that they voted for.
When he said grab her by the pussy, what the fuck,
Yeah,
dude?
that's the world.
Yeah.
The guy that's mad that he can no longer like feel up his secretary is the guy that voted for Trump. So when they would have loved to date a porn star, right? They give, you know what I mean? That's their job. That doesn't hurt him in the way that you expected it to. As far as media is concerned, right? They fucking love it. If they're on the right, they get to post about it all the time about the people that are coming out against it. If you're on the left loves to eat up a good sex story. People fucking love it, right?
Dude, there's so much shit with him, though. It's like he can't go a week, dude. Like I remember there were times where I wouldn't hear shit about Obama, right? Every fucking week there's something with him, just something,
Oh, he says this, like, I'm always on his Twitter account because he is like a non-stop flow of the stupidest shit you have ever heard. And you'll sit there and think, oh my God, I cannot believe this guy is in charge. I don't have time to sit down and watch Fox News, and he gives us a play-by-play update. It's like, dude, do you really, and I mean, it's a play-by-play update before you go on a weekend golfing trip. Like, how do you have time to run the country? He's like, he'll make one statement like immediately, 1 hour, hey, everything's fine. Everything in my administration is fucking hunky-dory. We're the best. Don't believe the hype, fucking, right? Fake news. Next fucking thing. The next person that he's fired on the way by. Next fucking post. And he doesn't see the irony. Dude, there's what, you and Pence and Sessions that are left. That's
Dude,
it.
okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. Is his place up on the next election? Because like I really don't think America really needs him for another however long he's going to be here.
Oh my God! Like I said, it's one of those things. Our government doesn't even represent the feeling. Look, both people on the left and right agree that marijuana should be legalized, if not completely, for medical purposes. Everybody agrees on that. Everybody except for Jeff Sessions in the Justice Department.
Well, he was,
right?
We were talking about this before the show. Like, there was the ex FBI director is 2 days away from retirement. Now, I don't believe in the FBI. I don't believe in a lot of things with the government. But you don't fuck over a guy 2 days before his retirement. That's just
what
one
did we
thing.
say before? That's like the premise of Lethal Weapon.
You don't do that.
He is going to come out with the biggest FBI leak of all time. Old boy's going to come out and
he's going to fire this guy 2 days before his retirement.
2 days before retirement. 2 days before retirement. Right? There is no way. That would probably look. I would say, man, that will lead to the biggest FBI leak of all fucking time. You think you had at the end of the day, right? The FBI has pictures of whatever the fuck you did.
Yeah.
If there is a sex tape, if you were peeing on people, the FBI has that. They're the FBI. Don't kid yourself. Okay? They have access to anything that they want to. Right? Which is why you don't fuck over a man 2 days before retirement. That's just morally wrong.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You just don't. These are things you just don't fuck with. This if he fires this dude 2 days before his retirement, he's gonna be working in whatever the fuck McDonald's, whatever, for the next 20 fucking years. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh no, the book that he will write will sink the entire administration.
Jesus, this is.
Well,
I mean, when it comes down to it, like.
Well, I mean, look at him. He's had to give up his house.
Do you know the amount of people that he killed to get to that position? You know what I'm saying? Like, Trump is in that administration come out of a completely different world. I think they severely underestimate the FBI. And that is not a group of mean motor scooters that you want to fucking underestimate, man.
Yeah, I do see a lot. I would see probably a lot of backlash in
I wouldn't be surprised that they have, you know what I mean? Look, this is the list of 10 things that you can undermine the administration with. We won't really do anything about it because they'll be on their way out, right? You'll go down as a fucking hero, and none of the information that's released really makes us, you know what I mean? It's very picked on what they release. But to say that you couldn't be completely destroyed, any of us completely destroyed by the FBI, is a joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would watch out. Like I said, you know what I mean. I've got no love for the feds, but you know what I mean. That guy put in. He did some really terrible things for that retirement. Think of the last 20 years of the FBI, right? He was a part. If you're at the top, right, you've been a part of every single one of those things, right? Imagine the people that he's killed, poisoned, right? The countries that they may have undermined, the leaders that they assassinated. Step lightly, dude.
Yeah, Jeff, I don't think you're gonna win this one. I think this is gonna turn out really bad for you. You know, they're gonna find out about all that kiddie porn and the guy you slept with. You know, or something.
Yeah, those hookers you pissed all over. You know what I mean? Things like that. That email that you thought disappeared, it didn't. The FBI has it. Don't worry. Yeah, it's just I don't know. It shows there's a callousness and disregard for just everyone in kind of this whole administration. But I also think that that's the reason why people voted for him. Like the things that we see as a real negative is why they voted for him.
I guess, yeah. But I didn't like when Trump said he was gonna go after China, which he is doing, and this is turning into a trade war, and he says it's like a steel tax. But once you implement these things, like people don't realize that there's these are like ideas that sound good before an election, but once you start implementing these ideas, you start seeing the flaw, and like this flaw that he's doing with this tariff that he's doing on steel and aluminum product is going to destroy industries.
Yeah, and you'd say that you're the outrage for the trade deficit that we have with several countries that I will not argue definitely needs to be balanced. But number one, this isn't the way to do it.
Yeah.
Number two, the outrage behind these tariffs, but no outrage to the use of slave labor by the same corporations on American soil. If you're an American corporation, there is no way. If you're an American corporation, there is no way you should be selling items that have been made by slave labor, right? That's an outrage. That would be something that
I can agree with, but to tax like a car or to tax like
and that's just not. It shows that that's just not the way, and that's just not the way that the world works. And I think we said this last time. Like most CEOs, he doesn't have an understanding of how the company actually works.
Yeah.
Right. You put out, hey, I want the lowest price for steel. Now, the actual people that know engineering and do contracts and all of that, they go and figure all of that stuff out. But you don't know or realize in any way, shape, or form how it actually gets done, even though you're getting paid a shitload of money to do it. So when it comes to those kind of things, look, you don't work in the automotive industry, so you don't understand how the automotive industry works.
But
you don't understand that some of our largest. Our largest employers and our auto manufacturing has moved to another place, and those countries are foreign countries because we held back our and starved our car industry to non-existence. That's the truth there. We made bigger and bigger cars, and the rest of the world moved on, and we got stuck with Suburbans, and everybody's buying Honda Civics.
Because they work. It's a reliable car. It's a nice economy. Lasts forever. Japanese build good cars.
The things that used to be American values, and not just how much money you can spend on the biggest most gas guzzling. I mean, if anything was a setup, right? It was killing the electric car and ending up with a Suburban. And ending up with you know what I mean? What was it on the Simpsons? The Cougar Falcon Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Right. These rolling monstrosities that only really helped the fossil fuel industries. None of us could afford to drive. They gave us huge loans to try to to buy them and then pimp them as a status symbol, right? Like we were played, and because of it, we were replaced by Honda, by companies that were forward thinking, rather than subsidize our dying car industry in places like Flint in Michigan and in places that used to be the heart of production, and kicking out solar generators and solar and electric cars, right? We've been replaced.
I would say when the automotive industry moved out of the Midwest, that
ages
that killed that part of the United States. I'm sorry.
And with it killed any caring of our government for that area.
Pretty much, yeah. Flint used to be a happening car manufacturing town. Same with Detroit.
It's disheartening to drive through the neighborhoods of nice, beautiful houses that are just rows, blocks and blocks and blocks of empty lives, that were so prosperous at one time. You'll go 20, 30 houses before you'll see one that, somebody's barely holding on to. And the underlying truth of that is even those houses are all built on toxic landfills.
Yeah.
It's from that same industry. They cared so little for the workers there. They literally built them on top of toxic landfills, which is another problem on top of it. It's just fuck, man. It's a nightmare, the world that we've allowed them to build. And I say allowed them to build. There's 7 billion of us. There's 3,000 of them. We outnumber them so much, but yet we just can't seem to organize long enough to do it for some reason. Or I don't know why we haven't been able to do it, because it's more than obvious now. You know what I mean?
I think that America's industrial age, it's gone. I don't care what the president, I don't care what kind of sanctions or tariffs. It's not profitable.
Well, just not in that industry. We have that bridge just fell down. We've got our entire infrastructure that hasn't been upgraded in 50 years.
Yeah.
Look at Puerto Rico's electrical systems and roads and all of that stuff. There's heaps of jobs. We need to upgrade to green power. We need panels and parts and electronics, and there's a whole, we need those truck drivers to move it around and trains to move it around and metal to build it. There's so much that we need to upgrade it. It's just that we've ran the course of where fossil fuels can bring us, and unless we go past that this is as far as we can go down that road. There's lots that needs to be done. There's lots of work, there's lots of industry. Our government just isn't willing to do any of it. You can spend on $1 trillion war, right? Or you can spend on rebuilding our roads. And it would cost, a quarter of that to rebuild our roads.
Yeah,
you can spend trillions of dollars to make Halliburton some money, right? Or you can give us all free healthcare and we'll live more productive, healthier lives, right? Those are the choices. It's not like we don't have the answers in our time. We have the industry that's in our time. We're just not willing to do it, or we're just now starting to do it.
Yeah, I do agree with you.
But as far as those industries, yeah, that's done. That's over. Plenty of industries go on. There was a time where you would be the best, the best carriage maker on the planet. That industry is gone.
Yeah, whatever manufacturing industries that there are left, the private manufacturing. I think Cadillac still in the U.S.? Yeah.
Well, I think, look, it's a slave industry, right? It's built on the backs of slaving out our entire population and taking away from our future, right? In that sense, that time has came, just like every other slave industry on the planet, whose time has came, right? It's an outrage that we're still using slave labor to build our stuff. Just because we're over there, we don't have a slave, but people are outraged about it now. They didn't even know about it before, right? People are the fossil fuel industry is another one of those slave industries that its time is over.
Yeah.
You can argue all day, look, slavery built America. Slaves built America, right? Slaves built just about every, in one way or another, built about every city on earth. That time is over.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah, when we've allowed them. No, go ahead. I've been talking. No, I'm fucking stop, guys. Jesus.
I think I mean, you bring. I mean, with all the, I think what still gets me though is that money, power, and influence still, even today's modern social media organized efforts, it still proves that because they have the money, they can do all this.
Yeah,
it's a reinforcement in a way. I mean, it's bad, but I mean that's what I get out of it. It's just
Oh
like
yeah,
you
look,
can.
our opponents are well funded, right, and definitely well organized, right? They can work together to they'll act like they're against each other, right? The Koch brothers um and Soros, they'll act like they're on completely different sides, but they all are working for the same benefit. We have to be just as ruthless in the pursuit of peace and prosperity as they are in the pursuit of profit. The difference is right now we're coming to the place where 1 million viewers, 1 million followers is worth more than $1 million.
Yeah.
And before it was the other way around. You can't, it doesn't matter how much Hillary Clinton spends, right? She was never able to silence social media, and none of us spent money on it. You know what I mean? It was posting on our walls, live streaming, talking about it back and forth, but we didn't spend money in it. 1 million followers is worth more than $1 million, and we're just now coming to where that's the change. That's where the change is, and in that comes a lot of comes power as well. And we have to watch out not to get sucked into the same thing where the people with the most likes and views are being used as puppets in the way that politicians were used as puppets. But I think it is changing. It is changing. We can come out and say it, and people are able to hear it. And before, they could silence us altogether. There wasn't a live stream to come out and refute anything that they said on CNN or Fox News. And when there wasn't, look at the things that they pulled off. Can you imagine the Iraq War, right, going down the way that it did now compared to then? When you have people live streaming from Baghdad, when you have people, you know what I mean? When you have the Saddam Hussein live stream saying, look, I have no weapons of mass destruction, right? But look at what they were able to pull off by controlling the media market, right? By controlling the media. Fox News, they showed exactly what they were told to show, right? And now we don't have to follow that anymore. Like I said, imagine if we had the power that we have now in social media when that march to war was going on, how we would have been able to really undermine it in the way that we've been able to undermine the march to war in North Korea. That's probably never going to happen. It's just the American people are not going to go for it, right? No matter how scary they make them, just the American people are not going to go for it. That's probably now true with Iran. No matter how scary you make the Iranians, sound, your average American can go and watch an Iranian live stream. They seem like normal people. Doesn't seem like they want to murder me. I don't want to murder them. And that's a power we've never had before.
Yeah.
But, if our government had their way, we would have been at war with North Korea.
Yeah, there's no there's no way we could there. It's a war you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win a war with somebody with nukes. I'm sorry. It's a deterrent, and if Trump or anybody in the military thinks that they can actually pull that shit off, they're fucking. It's not gonna work.
Well, I'm not sure if they care if they pull it off. The point is to make money.
Yeah.
Look, they definitely did not pull off Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria.
Yeah, they haven't pulled off. I wouldn't say call any of the wars successful besides World War II.
They did make, and even World War II. Right? We could have stopped the Nazis by not selling them bullets. We could have stopped the Nazis by not selling them tank parts. Think of all the American soldiers that died because Ford was producing tank parts. Every Panzer that rolled up against American soldiers, right, was powered by Ford. Right? Every jet, we were the only company that made jet fuel, only country that made jet fuel. Every jet that flew, every V rocket that flew, right, was powered by our fuel. Imagine if we didn't do that, if we didn't support the Nazi party. Imagine all the American soldiers that would have been saved, all the Polish soldiers, all the Russians by the millions that would have been saved, all the English people that wouldn't have been bombed by V1 rockets.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I would argue there's because World War II is always the thing. We were definitely fighting on the side of good in that war.
Yeah.
Right. The American soldier, the American people, we were definitely fighting against an evil that was right in front of us. But the underlying truth is that we would have been able to fight that enemy we would have been able to choke him off. There's no oil in Germany.
No,
Right?
no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Right. So there's we would have been able to stop them. Millions and millions of people's lives would have been saved just by not allowing Ford to invest in Nazi, you know what I mean, in Nazi companies. There's quite a long list of people that millionaires, billionaires that support, of the time. I think they were only millionaires, but equal to billionaires at the time, that were supporting the Nazi war effort. They directly led to our brother, our grandparents being killed, and that's continued on. You know what I mean? Since then. But in this time, it's the same. What if World War II went the same way that it did if people could have the first time you saw a live stream from Auschwitz?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Right? In 1938, not 1947.
That is crazy.
And that's a power that we're just now realizing. The divest movement, we're just now realizing it. Right? That, wait a minute, I can take my money and put it into something that's actually going to help us. What do you mean I can take my money away from Wells Fargo in support of these oil pipelines and put it into a co-op, into a bank that's supporting green power? I'll do that. I only got $10. I don't give a fuck. I'll support the cause. Right? And that turns out to actually be billions and billions of dollars, enough to force these companies to invest in real solutions. But we're just now realizing that power. Like I said, this next election coming up, on the small scale local elections, and then all the way up to 2020. Mark my words, right? This next election will be decided by social media.
Yeah. I'd be surprised.
And they're going to try anybody that's speaking out against any of that, because they're going to have their candidates that they would like to run and don't want voices speaking out against them. I would say most likely one of the reasons that they're taking these voices off of social media is because of this upcoming election, because of how important social media is. If they run a candidate and you come out and say, no, they're actually just as corrupt as the rest of them, and you've got, a 20 million person following, that's a real problem to them, on the right or the left.
Yeah, that's 20 million voters.
They did that before the elections in the UK. It was probably a year or so ago. So you're seeing the same tactic over here now.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Google during the election, rearranged and played with people's search results. Facebook played with people's search results. So that you don't see what other people are talking about, or the results that are most popular. It's only the ones that you want to see. Make sure that Hillary Clinton comes up, and make sure that it's make sure that it's something positive. They did the same thing with the oil line protests. These search engines, when you would put in Standing Rock, would make sure that even though they're nowhere near the most popular, that the narrative that they would like to continue, right, was posted and not the truth. But we're wise to all of these things, right? This anonymous, you know what I mean? They've been shutting us down, trying to shut us down from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, we can tell you guys what needs to be done. You have to share. You have to, you know what I mean? You have to like our stuff. You have to download videos and post them in other places. Like, you can't let it go. If they're trying to silence people, you have to let it known, even if you don't agree with what they're saying, that those people are being silenced. And if it is something that you agree with, and it's, I would say that it's about peace and unity and green power and the things that we know we agree on, share it. Don't let them silence your brothers and sisters. Like, the key has always been unity. The key in Anonymous has always been unity, right? That none of us are a leadership, right? But all of us are working for the greater good, right? They can't take one of us down, because so many of us will share that story that'll make it worse, right? It's the social media game, but we can overwhelm it. We just have to overwhelm it.
Yeah.
Well, there ought to be, with this exodus out of Facebook, there ought to be. I was like, the way I look at it is like you have to be expanding as much or more into these other platforms as people are coming off or getting shadow banned on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, I mean,
that would happen naturally. I mean, the guys are just going to hop over and start up on
Yeah.
other sites anyway.
Well,
That's what we're
it's
doing. We're hitting Twitter and YouTube like, twice as hard now. I think we've probably used up Facebook to the most that we can. We're big enough that they're just trying to silence us. So we're going to continue to post and keep doing what we're doing, but our goal is to get on these other medias. But at the same time, if you guys are listening, guys, go and check out On3. I just put up the promotional video for it. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
Hold on, I didn't see that. I saw somebody talk about it on 3.
Yeah. So just type in On3, type on, Terrence Daniels and On3 onto YouTube. And look, we're just going to have to make our own social media site. There's no getting around it. It's going to have to be cool. It's going to have to be trendy. It's going to have to be easy to use. It's going to have to be customizable. You guys can look on there and see all the cool stuff, encrypted messaging, no selling your personal information, and no government spying. But underneath that, right, it uses a thing called distributed. So the more people that we get to use it, the more processing power we have, and we'll use that processing power to solve the world's problems. So like we were talking about protein or DNA editing, doing the computations to cure diseases like cancer, MS, Alzheimer's, things like that, and not have to go through this system, not have to go through any of that. So the more people we get to use it, the more processing power we have, the bigger problems we can attack. And the benefit of that is that we're building a cool social media platform that you use, and just that process goes on in the background while you're using the social media. But at the end of the day, whether we build, whether we get enough support behind this to build it and keep people using it, or somebody else comes out with something, the time is coming, right? People are done with Facebook. They're done with the censorship. Someone is going to come out with their own social media. I think we're the ones to do it, of course, but I'm not like plugging it. I'm just trying to explain, what's going on. Look, I'm not, what I mean? I want people to have an open and free voice on the internet. I would like it to also go, I see all of these tablets and computers, all of that processing power being wasted, where we could solve some of the world's problems with, and not even notice, just by pushing one button. And the pharmaceutical companies are never going to do it, right? These supercomputers in the world are never going to be put to solving the world's problems. Using this, we can do that. But at the end of the day, I want anybody, to make a social media platform that people want to use. That's it, right? I think that we can do it. We've made a lot of apps before. We've got the best, intentions and the ideas that people want behind it. I think we can make something that's both designed well so that people like it, and it's good looking and sleek and all of that stuff. It has to be so that everybody from 12 to 102 want to use it. But somebody is going to make one, and it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it literally. Yeah, you're right. It literally is, and I do see if something bigger comes along, I do see Mark trying to buy out the other person. He's anybody who has a new idea. I do see Mark Zuckerberg trying to one up and try, like when somebody was talking about using blockchain technology on social media, Mark Zuckerberg fucking does it. So.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, okay,
they're going to have to be
Since-
competing with the big boys, and
since-
they don't play nice.
Since Facebook is listening, right, and the CIA and all of our good deals and all that stuff, right? Here's the deal, and I'll be completely honest with everybody and on here, right? Fair enough. I would totally sell On3 for, I'm going to go with 500 billion, right? That's $500 billion. And I'll let you keep the pharmaceutical industry. I'm going to undermine the fossil fuel industry altogether, right? I'm going to buy every single person in the islands, solar and wind, every reservation on the U.S. solar and wind, and probably get everybody that absolutely needs one, schools and emergency areas, water filters. It's going to cost you the fossil fuel industry, but that's the deal, right? Otherwise, I'm going to make it and undermine the pharmaceutical industry altogether with it is the plan, and then put that same processing power to make better solar panels and better green technologies. But that would be the deal. So yeah, I'd say about 500 billion, and I can undermine the fossil fuel industry altogether. That would be the choice.
Yeah.
That would be the sacrifice I'd be willing to make. And that doesn't necessarily say that the idea somebody else won't pick it up. I can't stop that, man. But that's the amount that it would take to get me to stop. And the only reason that that's possible is that I feel I would be able to help the world with that kind of paper right away. I would literally buy Amazon, every single solar piece of technology on Amazon that fucking day. I'm being a little bit like facetious in all of that. But when you have that kind of money, how much would it cost me to get to upgrade the entire grid of, you know what I mean, every emergency place in the American territories? Right? How much would it cost me to put a solar generator and a clean water system on every single reservation in America? That's how much it'll cost you. And I'm going to make the biggest, like the biggest like media spectacle around it, with the single and only goal to undermine the fossil fuel industry. But if you want to play ball, man, that's my price. It'll never happen. Right?
I see some talking though on the problem you have here, like Facebook and YouTube, is they're like decentralized social medias. And I see these people talking about like decentralized social medias, but I don't really see anything comfort. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, that sounds
Well,
great.
there comes like the problem that we have is that we have
But
to
how do you do
manage.
that?
You know, there's problems like with On3. It's not a problem, but it's, you know, we have to manage, you know, what information to hold and what information not to hold, you know, and we've split it up so that it's, you know, our servers are in several different countries that aren't affected, you know, that aren't affected by U.S. policy in some cases, or in all cases. But you know, we're doing it that, you know, you've got an encrypted code that between you and the app that allows you to access your information. We don't give out any. You share as much or as little as you want to. With social media, you know, how do you keep up, you know, how do you hold on to the posts, the pictures, you know, how do you hold on to that information and not store it somewhere? And it's, you know, it's a problem. You have to run that balance of, you know, being able to identify each individual user uniquely and not hold on to any real information that they're using, and still have it be secure so that, you know what, they forget their password. You know, I don't want to lose my entire life because I forgot my password. Well, now I'm holding that ID and the email and the password, and we have to, you know, we have to make it so that that doesn't happen. Decentralization and, you know, in cloud and blockchain all have a piece to do with it. But like I said, if your intention is to keep people's information to go out and not store it, it's completely different. If you go into Facebook, Facebook's number one intention is to store all of your information, to collect as much as possible. That's the underlying thing, right? They're using it for other stuff, but the deal is to collect a profile for each and every one of us, right? That's what social media's job is right now. Once you're not trying to do that, our goal is to get people to use this social media platform so that we can cure cancer, right? That's our goal with it. We're not interested in your personal information. We have to have a little bit of it so you can have your social media part and your pictures and your videos and all of that stuff. But we don't want to, you know what I mean? We don't want to give people access to it or, you know, sell it to anybody.
Yeah.
Hard to deal with, like where to hold information and who's, you know, trustable to hold on to it. None of these guys are.
Well, where does he hold it? I mean, you know, it's surprising because you haven't seen any big breaches.
Most of it's in the Philippines.
10,000 man army looking through all your shit over there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
so, I mean,
what's the link to the social media site you guys are on? On3?
Well, go ahead.
What is the link to On3? I'm looking for it. I just can't find it. On3.
Are you on my YouTube? It's like the last. I think it's the last video on my YouTube as well.
Oh, on Terrence Daniels.
Yeah. And it. Yeah, it should be. I'll post it on here too. No, I mean, it's a promotional video, guys. So I mean, we are, I would say, anywhere from a year, you know, to a year.
Oh,
and
I gotcha.
months. You know, it's not an overnight thing. There's a lot to go on. You know, look, being able to connect every iPad, phone, and computer on the planet to think about one algorithm is extremely difficult. And to be honest, I think we've raised, maybe $10,000 on this project, and we need to get about $1 million to make it. You know what I mean? To build it. So we do have a little bit of a little time. It's a project that's just getting started.
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm seeing the video. Like, I'm muting it. It's a nice video, though.
Yeah, awesome. Well, and I mean, I think that, if you guys watch the video and if you guys ever watch any of the other apps and stuff that we've built, it has aesthetically, there's an artistic part of it, right? Of all of these apps. There's an artistic part in its simplicity of Facebook, right? But it lacks the ability to be yourself, right? We'd like people to be able to add their music lists and, customize it to actually be a view of them and not just the standard, blue line, right? That does have a lot to do with it. So when you do look at our videos, that is, part of the design of the social media part, is that it has to be aesthetically pleasing. People have to want to use it. And I think we'll be able to do that in a way that programs like MeWe haven't been able to do.
I would say MeWe is like, I gave MeWe a chance, but their programmers are like,
well, and I think MeWe is like, you guys, and to any of our viewers, you guys ever watch South Park?
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the It?
No, I don't remember that episode.
Oh, it was like this device that like, it was rather than flying commercial airlines, it was like a device that sexually violated you. But you did get to drive around in it. It was better than driving commercial, or than flying commercial. It reminds me of the It. Like, nobody wants to use it, but it's not Facebook.
Yeah,
right? And that's really how everybody feels about MeWe. Like, nobody likes it, but dear God, it's not Facebook.
Well, not only that, like, it's so bad. Like, it's not that. It's like, it loads slow. Nobody sees what you're doing.
It's just not. It's not there yet, and some of that has to do with they're like, I've been doing this for a decade, right?
It's built around groups, which was like the most retarded shit. So like, you do have like a news feed, but the news feed isn't organized, and most of the places that they want you to go is they want you to go to groups, and the groups are where they're at. But now they have the chats built into the groups, which are kind of cool, but they're kind of not. Like, do you really want to, like, and like, you can turn off and on that function, but you turn it on. Do you really want to have a group with like 10,000 people talking at the same time?
Screaming. Yeah, it's just not there yet. I mean, like I said, I think we can do much better. The design's better, but it's not as easy as it looks. That's why I give the time frame, and I'm always real and open with the what it costs to do something like this. Even to MeWe, you know what I mean? That it's not it costs to make a social media platform. So I mean, they've put in a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication, and it takes a lot to make that. I just think we can do way better.
I think anybody could do better than that. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just
there's something wrong with that plan there.
It's not as easy as it would seem on the outside. When you see the finished product, it seems real sleek and we can pick it apart and all of that. But in actuality, it's a nightmare to produce these software, especially when you're the first people doing it. On our benefit, on certain sides of it, a lot of the work has been done for us. So when it comes to like the algorithms to protein fold and to compare DNA chains and shit like that, a lot of the programming work has already been done for us. The government just stopped research on it. So I mean, as soon as they came, where they're saying, hey, we're 5-6 years away from being able to crack this, they just shut down the research. But if we get 100 million people using it, basically we'd be able to finish off that process in a couple of days.
Yeah.
By current estimates on the math, You know, in some cases, even if we're looking at it brand new on, you know, comparing a couple million DNA chains, like I said, 100 million, you know, devices working on one thing is more powerful than every supercomputer on the planet.
Yeah.
Changes everything. It's just, I'm excited about it, guys. Like I said, I'm not like there's so much that we can discuss about it, but the bottom line is that there is other social media networks coming, and it is a matter of time before Facebook is replaced, and that's kind of the underlying truth. No matter which platform people move to, look, we maybe you know might make some changes and take off. You know, Twitter may expand. I don't know. I can't see the future. I think we'll do better than all of those, but you know, and they all have the problem of just a different group of spies on there. But you know, I do see in a very short amount of time, people have no loyalty to Facebook in any way, shape, or form, any more than Facebook has loyalty to them.
Yeah. I mean, can we
That's
we just have a social media site where they're not selling the data to government agencies? Like, is that hard to do?
Well,
You
I
know?
mean, they owe them when it comes to Facebook, right? They built Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a CIA project.
Yeah, so I mean, they you know they put in the money, they got the programmers, they set it up, you know, they put in all the work. That's their, you know, that's their social media network. So you know, I can't. What did you think? The CIA was your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? I mean, is there anything that the CIA was a good deal?
Oh, that's funny.
They're always up to something.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
friendly
we should
neighborhood.
have known that.
Good.
We should have known that right away. Oh wow, this is great. Social media network. Yeah, I can talk to all my friends. Yeah, who makes it? The CIA. Yeah. Okay. So it's gonna spy on us, right?
Should have seen that one coming.
Yeah. Surprise.
That's a good one.
It's like sometimes I feel like it's a Scooby Doo rerun. You know, like we pull the mask off. Who is it? Oh, it's the CIA. Who would have thought? Old Man Winters. There's no terrorist. It's the CIA. Drug dealers. It's the CIA. Oh my God. Why
Well, they're
do
giving
we
it to
keep
you
on
again here,
falling
Ed.
for this?
Well, they're doing it to you again. See, they get rid of Tillerson and they bring in the CIA guys. See,
Yeah, that's
it's supposed to be the state running them, but hey, it's like we're just going to bring this guy in. He's going to run the show now.
Oh,
So.
it was like, you know what? The head of the fossil fuel industry is not evil enough. That is a high fucking bar. You couldn't find somebody more. You found somebody more corruptible than Rex Tillerson. Ouch.
He must have had a pinch of a conscience, and that was too much. It's like
Yeah,
that.
it was just like it was
He
too
won't-
far.
he
I
won't
think
do-
I think the racism and I think like honestly, I think the racism and like in Sessions is really too much for even the most corrupt guys. Like I think Tillerson came in and was all like, "Look, okay, I'm a complete jackass, but this is fucking stupid." And you know what I mean? They fired him for it right away. You're gonna invade California? That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. I have heard that. I have heard that been talked around. That what is going on with California and Jeff Sessions is like, what Jeff Sessions is talking is about an active civil war what California is doing. But I'm like, well, Jeff, like
that is not a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I really have a feeling that he has been wanting to go to war with California since he was born.
Well, California wants it. I mean, they want to do their own thing. Then
Yeah,
go.
you know, and I was thinking about our conversation. I was thinking about our conversation on last week's show, and I think you're right. In that you're saying in that saying that is the law, and there was when I went back to slavery and that being the law. I agree. I just think that at this point it's the polar opposite. In that moment, the state was in the wrong morally and the government was on the side of the law. In this case, the government is immoral in its pursuit, and the state is on the right side. That's the way that I see it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Um,
like a lot of the stuff that Jeff is saying that he's coming after the mayor of Oakland. There was a bill passed, Senate Bill 52, right?
well, and
Yeah,
here's the
which
deal.
which
There's
she was
quite a bit of
doing her
money.
job. She was doing her
The
job
deal
as the
is,
laws pertain to the state of
I was
California.
talking about ICE being Gestapo and the Gestapo tactics. You know, if you can't do it without rounding people up, and you know the deal is it's costing us money, right? And that's the rights issue as well. That that immigrants are costing us money. That they're draining the system, this and that and the other. Why does it have to be an armed Gestapo style and not a fine?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like if the deal
That
is
would be
money and you're costing us, look, if we catch you illegal, the deal is you have to pay
ten
a
thousand.
fine.
Yeah, like 10 grand
Yeah,
or
and I
some
mean
shit.
that
Yeah.
doesn't count if you're a criminal, right? If you're a criminal, you got to get the fuck out. That's normal. That's anywhere. That's any country on the planet. I totally agree with that. But if the deal is that it's an economic issue, that these, that somehow that it's a drain on us, then why is it a fine? Not why is it a fine? Why isn't it a fine? And instead, the armed, you know what I mean? The Gestapo tactics again, which is what I see.
I don't think that the people who are running any of these agencies or legislations can see that far. It's just easier to get a guy with
because that's
guy
what
with
I see
handcuffs and a gun.
as being wrong,
Yeah.
right? I see the corporations that hire immigrants and pay people nothing, right? They definitely owe us in one favor. Those people should be taken to court. They're running slave labor camps. The fact that people are desperate enough to work for slaves is not a work as slaves is not a surprise to me. But when it comes to when it comes down to what are your options, well, the only option I can see is rounding people up with attack dogs and machine guns. Like that starts setting off red flags to me, and for no other reason but their nationality. And I mean, even the fine starts getting, are you fining me for being brown? Which is, boy, that's a wet dream for somebody. But why is the option always the Gestapo groups of people coming in the night and throwing you in the back of a truck?
Well, doesn't
And
that
not,
cost?
you owe us.
Doesn't that cost the American taxpayer like how many billions of dollars are they spending on deporting people? Like,
And it's not going
like
to get smaller.
yeah,
Sure.
I'm like some people have to be flown to different countries in droves, held down into detention centers, childcare, food, meals. It starts adding
And
up.
it's like, do you need, they're not actually SWAT. SWAT are highly trained professionals. That's kind of one of the jokes is that they, you know what I mean? They all think that they're SWAT, but don't have any of the, skills, tactics, or training that go along with it. It's the guy in all camouflage with a sniper rifle on the top of a black tank. That's our police departments. But it's like, did you really need a helicopter, a tank, and a 24-man armed squad, right, to arrest an unarmed 40-year-old mother in front of her children?
Yeah, or some guy working in the back of a taco truck. Is it really necessary?
Yeah, and it's like where in my like I know it, right? It's not just a fear. These organizations, they never stop. Right, when they get whatever acceptable number, when there's all the people that you can get, you've collected, 20,000 people out of a city, there are no more immigrants. Do you really think that they're just going to lock the doors and walk away after spending all those billions of dollars?
No,
They'll find another group that
they're gonna come after people who were due on their green
There'll
cards
always
or
be
somebody.
there'll always be another group that's not you, that's extremely scary, violent, possibly drug dealers, and maybe trying to rape your wife or children, right? I don't know what color or version they're going to be, but you can insert that over the top, right? Will be the next group that they come from until they, they do whittle us down until there's nobody left. There's a small, a population that they can control. But you look that time where you're considered an immigrant to an illegal immigrant may change. You know, right now we're at, you know what, we're saying, you know, 50 years, 60 years, maybe. You know, it's only one more step to it's, well, wait a minute, where in Ireland were your grandparents from? Right? Wait a minute, where in Italy were your grandparents from? Do you have the papers to prove that?
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, if you've been here for 200 years, you're good. But man, I'm sorry, 150, you're an anchor baby. And we're really trying to get of immigrants. Look, we spent all this money on these
Well,
groups that do
there's been
nothing
countries
but hunt down people.
there's been
It's going
countries
to
where
cost
that's
us.
yeah. There's been countries where they've done that to people. You know, in where they were people that if they couldn't prove or how long their family's been there, they automatically stripped them of their citizenship. That happened in
Well, yeah, Nazi Germany.
that happened in Haiti. That happened in Haiti, didn't it? They
Yeah,
took
it looked like
The Haitians, if they because they moved all of the people from what is it, Haiti to the what's the other country on the other side of the island? They all the
Dominican
Haitian,
Republic.
yeah, the Dominican Republic. If they were in the Dominican Republic, if they couldn't prove that they have been there, but for like if their families have been there for like one generation or before, they had to move back to Haiti. And I was like, what the fuck? So like you just took away their citizenship?
yeah, so I mean, yeah, and I see that to continue. You know, I see that to continue. That it's never going to be enough. Right now, there's enough division between us for the Mexican thing to fly, right? And a lot of people, you know, the opportunity to get here has just came, so they're relatively new. But I look for those agencies to continue to expand. They're not going to stop with Latinos. There'll always be a group that they need to round up. And I don't, and not only a group, but it's going to continue to, you know, they're going to need bigger and bigger budgets. That, you know, they'll paint the people as more and more dangerous. But I don't understand where if the issue is an economic issue, why is it a bullet and not a fine?
That's a very good question.
Well, it's like warrant service. I mean, you know, they use that same technique against everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how hardened you are or how nonviolent you are. You get pretty much the same door kicked in and the same
Yeah,
treatment.
I
You
mean,
know,
I look at the look. They
it's
treated the Bundy standoff, you know, different in many ways, but in the same case, you know, in many ways, exactly the same as they treated us at Standing Rock. And a lot of the people that the same military, the same you know, militarized police, the same, you know, sniper teams, right? Were sent to both places, the same mercenaries, but it's I don't know. It's just for some reason, it's not seen that way between groups. That was, you know, what we were talking about earlier, like the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, and the deep state are the same people.
oh yeah,
But
Yeah.
yet,
yeah,
but you know, both is like a joke to the other side. They don't realize, you know, we don't realize that we're being oppressed by the same people. And no, like you know, I want my country to be as safe as possible. I don't want violent criminals. Fidel Castro, right? I love the guy to death, right? But he did send us as many violent criminals as possible.
Oh, from Cuba.
Yeah, from Cuba, like that did happen. He emptied out his jails. Now, some of those people were in jail for being against Cuba, but you know, some of those people were actual murderers. And our support of anybody that was against Cuba because they were communists, let us accept them. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want violent criminals in my country. I don't want people sending their violent criminals here. I also don't want you like rounding up brown people in the street. I don't dig that at all. I don't like you doing it behind closed doors. I don't want you rounding up people at all. If it's like violent criminals, seek out violent criminals. We've got highly trained badasses for that. They're not ICE. You've like hired these group of thugs that will literally round up sick children in the hospital because they're Mexican. That seems so wrong to me.
Yeah. I've also heard, you know what I've also heard that they've been doing is when they put the kids into when they round up a family into a detention center. Like I heard this like specific incident where it happened in Los Angeles, and they shipped the kids off to a kiddie detention center in Chicago, completely separating the family with no guarantee that wherever the hell they're deporting them, that they're going to end up in the same place. Like what the fuck? What the fuck kind of policy is that? You know?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty standard with that operating procedure in those kind of police organizations. They do this on the reservations quite a lot too. They'll have a problem with somebody. They'll split up families. They'll send them to, these boys and girls schools. That's, it's just they're guaranteed a prisoner for the next 50 years is their plan.
Yeah, when they deport children, who can't. I don't understand. I don't even know what their policy is. Like, once they deport the children without the parents, who's picking them up on the other side of the fence or wherever country they're going to? Is it like?
I mean, there just becomes, like I said, we're not robots, and I do see, look, most of the laws that we follow because they align with our morality, not because they're a law, right? We don't rape and murder not because there's a law that says you can't rape or murder, but because it's fucking wrong, right? Most people do that when it comes to immigration, when it comes to a lot of things. I don't think we have to be robots, right? We can think about these problems that don't, like I said, that don't boil down to, let me guess, you're going to spend heaps of money to send large amounts of armed thugs to round me up. I've never seen this before. Right? There's always some group that they're pulling this with. And I don't think it has to exist. Get rid of bad people. Fair enough. Do it. There's plenty of them, and they're all across to the in every country, in every state. Like, you have no problem hunting down bad dudes. But that's not who you're hunting down.
Well, they're hunting down people who are working here in America and trying to coexist with the fellow neighbors.
Just live their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain places where you're like, look, for the people that came from Haiti after the storm, right? You got fucked over by everybody humanly possible. Living illegal in the States is better than living, you know what I mean, than not having water, food, or a roof over your house. Yeah. Right? Like, there's a reason that people are running here, and it's because even that, living in fear, having the Gestapo after you, right, is better than where you came from, better than living in a place that the CIA is spraying with Agent Orange in Colombia, better than being bombed by paramilitary groups sponsored by the CIA, right? The life that you can grow coca leaves, or you can be executed by the drug cartels that are being imported into the States, or I can live in fear and hopefully live my life in California, right? Well, that's not really a choice.
I was going to say, when you mentioned the coca leaves, there's a lot of controversy over that in general, where they do have a massive drug task force that's going after that in their own country, so it's
Well, I mean, some countries are now saying, look, you guys are going to have to figure that out
on your own.
Yeah, you can't sponsor any more weird military groups to undermine our government. In a lot of these cases, the governments were communist, chosen, by the people. People are happy with them being communist. That we went in and undermined and propped up drug cartels, you know what I mean? Cold-blooded murderers with guns, weapons, money, the works. To undermine their government, and then we look down on the people that are escaping that nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, with a lot of these problems, the moment we stop slaving out and bombing the rest of the world is the moment where a lot of these immigration problems disappear. Like, getting over the drug war is going to make a lot of these problems, dry up.
Yeah, I mean, if we decriminalize drugs here in America, and that would take the criminality aspect out of a lot of shit.
Or just demand our government not sell them anymore. Like, look, if you're working in the U.S. government, there is absolutely no reason for you to be involved in the people and/or drug trade.
Well, yeah. I also personally don't believe that the government can tell you what you can and can't put in your body. I don't believe that that's a right that they have, but they've implemented that law. But as an inalienable right you have as a citizen, as defined in the Constitution, I believe that's a right that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to some extent. I mean, I just feel that a lot of these problems will have a lot less of effect um, when we're not involved in it. You know what I mean? When you look at like I said, the drug trade specifically, there's no reason our government should be involved, black budget or not. If you have to deal drugs to have a black budget, then you don't need a black budget.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just because that's their excuse. Look, we have to do this bad shit, or we don't have money to secretly kill people. Okay, well then you're not going to be able to secretly kill people. I'm sorry, I guess. Right? And that's their look. We have to sell guns to terrorists, right? Or we won't be able to continue on these wars. The terrorists won't have weapons, right? We well
Do you
then I'm
remember that?
sorry.
Do you remember that drug camp, the anti-drug campaign back in the mid 2000s, where they were telling people if you buy drugs, you're supporting terrorism? And I
Yeah.
was like,
The opioid trade.
man, that is some government fucking flip flopping shit. If you understand that, I'm like,
Oh
man,
yeah, as you've got like if you got pictures of all of us doing selfies in the poppy fields that we had
yeah,
to protect in fucking Afghanistan. Yeah, we totally believe that. Um, yeah, it comes to a point. Look, your average citizen knows that America sells weapons around the world. Those weapons are set to do bad things. None of the weapons that we sell in the world are set to do good things.
no,
And
yeah,
we
no, they're
our
peacekeepers.
government,
Correction.
yeah, but I mean, our government is more than proud of it. You saw the backslapping and waving when we sell Saudi Arabia billions of dollars of weapons of war, right? For them to continue their terrorist campaigns around the Middle East.
Yeah,
It's
they have
not
that
even
proxy
fitting
war
that we're
going on in
doing that.
Yemen that Iran and Saudi Arabia are fighting.
Yeah, with American weapons,
Yep.
right? We sold every single one of those, and you can't point to a place in the world where there is a conflict that our weapons aren't involved in. But it's not and those ones are arguable outright. The ones that they're selling illegally are even worse, that they're selling under the table are even worse. The groups that they're propping up are even worse.
Oh, you mean
There's no reason.
you mean how that sarin gas bomb somehow ended up in Syria?
Oh yeah, that has all of the markings of
CIA.
a black project written all over it. A chemical weapon strike blamed on somebody that obviously did not have anything to do it, which you happen to hate, by the way. And lots of pictures of dying children, right? Because they know that gets the Americans going, is dying children. You show some dying kids, we are all over it, right? Every single newscast, right? And none of them came out and said, oh yeah, by the way, remember when we posted that story about the weapons attack? Totally not Assad. In fact, we don't know who did it. That has all of the markings of a black operation,
Yeah.
right? That is the hallmark of a CIA operation. We've seen it before. I think it's interesting how this recent chemical weapons attack in England is not referred to as a chemical weapons attack.
I wasn't familiar with that. What happened?
The Russians poisoned
Oh yeah. That there was
poisoned a spy in the UK.
and the daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, and their daughter, which they've done this before. They did it a couple of years ago with plutonium in like water that had been ran through one of
Yeah,
the
that was funny because
nuclear reactors.
there was a cesium. No, not cesium.
Yeah,
It was an ice. It was a yeah, somewhere plutonium or something there's highly deuterium or tritium. Yeah, something like that. And that was funny because in that instance where the spies had killed the other spy, the spies who did it died as well from exposure from the radiation.
yeah. So it's really it's like this isn't the only time that they've done it, but totally not viewed as a chemical weapons attack. I mean, if Assad had been done it, it would be on every channel as a chemical weapons attack. No,
Yeah.
it's odd how they frame things to continue on their narrative. Um, it's a crazy world we live in. It's just a crazy world we live in.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's one of the things, when we're talking about censorship, that's one of the things until real recently, every time somebody tagged me in a post that referred to that as a chemicals weapons attack, it came up as blocked on my page. So like there's been an error, you can't find it, even though people were sending me screenshots of what they had tagged me in.
Yeah, yeah. They don't. The
Oh.
social media sites. They only want you to see what they want you to see.
Yeah, and we're having like a really weird relationship with Russia at the moment. It's crazy. Like the American public is having a real weird relationship. Like number one, they did us a solid with Hillary Clinton, which is good. Kind of showed
But
how
I
the
don't
system
understand. I
was
don't
totally
understand why
corrupted.
like even Putin said this. Like, but a lot of people, I know a lot of people in the Baltic countries, they fucking hate Putin. I have family out there, right? But like, this is my like, I don't see Russia as a real fucking threat. Like, this is fucking craziness.
Well, I mean, there comes a point where we're not united with the Russian people on a global basis any more than America's united with the
Yeah,
rest of the world on a global basis right now.
exactly.
But on the same note, neither of us are suicidal, right? Well, I hope they're not suicidal. I'm praying that Putin and Kim Jong Un are not as fucking stupid as our government is the deal, which isn't setting it high.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they're suicidal. So it becomes like, what is this posturing for? Neither of us are going to nuke each other. Neither of us want to. You both want to build up your militaries, right? It's that frenemies thing. You have to have an enemy.
Well, I was surprised they didn't put up, more of a fuss about Ukraine. I mean, you'd say, hey, going into Ukraine, well, that's crazy because you're right on the Russians' doorstep. But they did it
Well, I mean,
anyway and got away with
and
it.
I mean, some of it that was kind of, it's hard to describe, right? Because I was in Ukraine, and there was kind of the sense in that you did have California break off from the U.S. for, because, the central government lost power for a minute. But then as soon as that central government got its shit together, nah, you guys really are part of California. Most of the people that I met in Ukraine considered themselves Russian, and Kiev was the capital of Russia. So this isn't like a history, like this isn't,
Yep.
it always has been part of Russia. There was a lot more involved in, the way that they made it seem like, like Ukraine has always been its own country and its own, and that none of that is really true. There was an oil pipeline that they wanted to put through there, that had to do with, I think, Biden's kid. Who was there was several
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Uh,
They got rid of the oligarch that was in it and put Joe Biden's son in there. He's the oligarch now.
Yeah, so there was a lot more to that than our there were people that were happy being Ukrainian now, right? We were good. But like I said, it was much more like one of our states, that's always trying to do it, Texas, California, right? That broke off for a minute because they lost control, but as soon as they got control, you really are still part of the US, or at least they believe so. And it was hard to find, the same way that you would find, most Texans would still believe that they're Americans, right? But we also believe that they should have split off and been their own country. There was that kind of feeling, at least while I was, when I was there.
Well, speaking of which, states breaking off from the United States. I still hear that talk. On the West Coast.
Well, because I mean, we've lost. Our government doesn't stand for us. I don't think anybody believes that, right or left. So I think there is, kind of, would we be better off doing our own things individually if these people have lost their fucking mind? And it is things, it's hard to rationalize that, I can't at the moment stand behind our federal government. I have no, belief or security knowing that they're running the country. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to define. I'm not in the country at the moment for those very reasons. Just as likely I get shot by a DAPL mercenary than I do by a cop getting pulled over for a bad taillight.
Are you telling me, dude? If I had the option of leaving the United States, I would have done it.
You know, I get asked, like, why would you constantly be at them like this? And it's like, look, it doesn't matter. It's a police state. It's just as likely I'm walking down the street with my headphones on and some cop says, hey, come here, and I don't hear him and he blows me away, than it is I'm standing here protesting a oil pipeline.
Yeah.
Just as likely. You know, and that's, you know, you have, at that point, you have no choice. It's fight back or be a slave. There is no other option. You know, there may have been a time where it was pick a side, but at this point, they've picked for us.
Yep.
And I mean, that's not, that's not just being a person of color. You know, it is now to the point where, you know, if you're somebody that they don't like, if you're even just, you ran through a stoplight in your pickup truck, man, they will fill you full of fucking holes.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Very true.
You know, you get out, what that one guy got out of his truck, you know, white dude, hands in the air, you know, behind his fucking head, and they still plugged him full of holes. And
there's some amazing
that's
videos now. It just, you can't believe what they're getting away with.
Oh, the cops?
And they'll justify every bit of it. Yeah, it's just,
The courts are
like
backing
an
them up.
argument.
That's the thing, is the courts are totally backing them up, and it's like, it's gotten to the point, you know, where this is becoming a daily event, you know, where average citizens are being gunned down by police. We either need to re-educate the police or give them non-lethal ways of taking us down. You know, I hate to say it.
They had groups of people and a clear goal, right? Their goal was to fill the prisons, and they had to get people that were willing to shoot, kill, you know what I mean, not think, to pull that off. And they told the police department, especially in places like New York, right? They implemented laws. They did everything that they could to produce this, right? Specifically hiring people with the lowest IQ tests, right? Not requiring you to go to college, asking you questions that are completely racist, and then not hiring you if you answer them in a not racist fashion, right? They built this system, and then when it goes over the acceptable limit, people are shocked. I will say that the African American communities, the Latino American communities, poor neighborhoods, you know, in rural neighborhoods, in trailer parks, have been complaining about this forever, right? And it wasn't believed because it wasn't on camera. You know, you saw somebody that fit your description of being poor and impoverished, and immediately they've been painted as a criminal,
Yeah.
right? It's those people over there, right? It's oh well, you know, if they weren't doing something wrong, you wouldn't have ran, right? If your pants weren't sagging, then you wouldn't have been. If you weren't poor in this neighborhood, if somebody in that trailer park wasn't a meth addict, but the deal was I wasn't a meth addict and you shot me. I was just a person coming home with my kids, right? I wasn't you know what I mean? I wasn't a gang member, right? I was just driving home from my fucking job, right? They painted a picture and everybody believed it. And now when you see the video, there's no denying it. Holy shit, that guy really was just reaching in his car for his wallet. You just told him to, right? That guy really was walking down the street with his hands up saying, please God, don't shoot me, before you filled him with holes. And before you saw those viral videos, those YouTube videos, the videos that the cops didn't manage to confiscate, right? People didn't believe you. When you said, nah, there's cops just rolling around the hood, harassing people and shooting motherfuckers, nobody believed you.
Yeah.
Right? When you said there was, you know what I mean, there's people that are just rolling around our trailer park, right? Harassing people, and if they say anything about it, we'll shoot you, beat you up, sick dogs on you. Nobody believed you.
Well, now it's to the point, you know, where even I get pulled over, you know, in the United States, and I'm afraid, you know, and I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm straightened out, you know, but you know, I'm even afraid that, you know, I'll get shot. It's that bad in America, you know, for not doing anything. I got pulled over for making, the cops said I made an illegal U-turn, and I had stopped, put my keys in the dash, turn off the car, and put my hands on the steering wheel, and the cop already has a gun on my head, and I'm like, that's how bad it is in America, you know.
And at that point, right, I have to be completely calm, right? At any moment, if I sneeze, right, if I reach for something, if I speak too loud, if I move from my window, right, for any reason whatsoever, this cop now has the right to blow me away. He is scared to death.
And the cops always ask you, why are you acting nervous? And I'm like,
because I'm looking
you have a gun in my head.
Fucking gun. Right?
Yeah.
That's why I'm acting nervous. Because you're gonna fucking shoot me and sprinkle some crack on me and then walk away. Oh no! I can see what it is, right? I'm a violent eco-terrorist, right? Is how they'll paint that one.
Paranoid.
Yeah.
You're paranoid too.
It's amazing that it's gotten this far, but unfortunately, nobody believed this. Nobody. You know, Rodney King was not in any way, shape, or form, right, an oddity. That was happening constantly. It was still happening all the way up until the invention of the live stream, until the invention of the cell phone video.
Yep.
Right? But nobody believed us. And then when you go into court, nobody believes you in there. The jury, your peers, doesn't believe you.
Yeah, they'll say the video is skewed and you're only showing it from one perspective. You didn't see what happened 10 minutes before this happened. You know, they'll say anything.
No, you've got Dudley Do-Right that comes in there and says he resisted and that's it. Or before videos, you have 10 cops fucking stomping you, screaming, "Stop resisting," and then all you get is the video. All you get is the audio of everyone screaming, "Stop resisting." And there's some videos. This is something that has to do with training. The cops are actually trained to scream that no matter what, in any situation, so that's what comes out on the tape. And then once the invention of the video was, you'd have these cops that are still doing what they're trained. So you see like 8 guys, this guy with his hands up, and 8 guys screaming, "Stop resisting," and it looks as fucking stupid as it is. But when you heard that in court, right, who are they going to believe? You know, the cops screaming, "Don't resisting," and you saying, "Nah, man, I got out of the car and they fucking pounced me. I didn't even have a chance to resist." Nobody would believe you. Nobody. Especially if you were brown. If you were poor, they are not going to believe you. You know what I mean? If you come in and you don't have teeth, they ain't going to believe you.
Yeah.
Right? Ignore the fact that you don't have, that we don't have medical care because this entire system has fucked you over, right? They're not going to believe you because you don't have teeth, and that gives that police officer a right to beat you, execute you, or imprison you.
He lost them teeth because he's a crackhead.
Mm-hmm. I lost those teeth because my healthcare doesn't cover front teeth, only teeth that are required for chewing. That's true. So, but when you go into court, right, you're poor, you're a criminal. And they've done a really good job at painting that picture. Now, if you go into court and you're rich, right, you can laugh in the court's faces.
Yeah.
Our buddy Sezeki, I slaughter his name on purpose.
What?
You
ever been told that in court? Like who you think I'm going to believe? It's like the judge saying it. Who am I going to believe, you or this sworn officer of the law?
Yeah, but you're not even going to ask anything about me. You don't want to see their record of multiple, assaults and batteries, extortions, that he'd been kicked out of 3-4 other police departments, that, that this is like a constant thing. You're happy, you're paid by getting people to prison. Oh, by the way, you got caught with some pot when you were 18 years old. Truth in sentencing, guaranteeing sentences, 20 years, buddy.
Oh my God.
But that's the deal, you had no one that was going to believe you. Those are your peers. You go in, didn't matter if you were a suit. If you were wearing a suit, then you're a rich drug dealer, right? If you're not wearing a suit, you're a worthless crackhead.
Basically, the court systems are fucked anyway, like even if you have a trial by jury by your peers, it's still like, well,
yeah, it's low chance.
It's a low chance that even you'll win, because most jurors are not, it's the court system and the legal system is only designed, and every lawyer will tell you this, it's designed to fuck you over. The odds are against you.
Oh, and even like a bunch of the people that threw, the like DNA evidence stuff that that they never even looked into because you admitted to it. And they'd ask people, oh, well, why did you admit to the crime? And like there was one guy that was in one of these like prison videos that was getting let out, and he's all like, "Look, man, I'm a black dude in Alabama. I was, my peers, the jury was gonna give me the fucking chair if I went to trial, right? You're going to put up there people that are no way going to believe me in any way, shape, or form, and give me the hardest possible, you know what I mean, the charge possible. You know, with this, yeah, I took life, but it was better than being executed.
I remember.
Right?
I
There was no
remember.
chance that they were going to hear me out.
Wasn't there a time back in the day, like back in the 70s or 80s, where harder, more violent crimes had less prison sentence or time? You know what I mean? Wasn't there a
Oh,
time?
there still is. If you're a child molester, you'll be lucky to get time at all.
No, I'm talking
Yeah.
like murder and shit like that. There was a point in armed robbery and shit like that where it was only like you would get like maybe 7, 8, 15 years.
Well, in most places, I think life is actually 30 years.
Yeah, but
So I mean, even then, we don't like equate, like life to actual, 80-year time frame. But what people are getting, what people do have, do get put into prison for, do get executed for, are not any of the things that they should be.
oh,
You know what
speaking
I
of
mean?
executions,
If
did you hear what Oklahoma's doing?
Are they the ones? They're going to jump on the
No,
executing
dude,
drug
they
thing?
they because there's a standoff between the companies that manufacture the cocktail, and they don't believe in it. So a lot of places can't get access to the cocktail of basically they give them like a phenobarbital and a bunch of other and a couple other medications, right? So
Yeah.
they die. But now, because they can't get access to it, they're using the gas chamber back in Oklahoma, and specifically, they're giving, they're going to be using nitrogen um, as a way to kill the person. I'm like, dude, like that's some fucked up shit. Like watching somebody go to sleep. That's a more
Honestly,
sane. That's a more sane way of doing it.
they've been
But
itching for a reason to use the gas chambers.
like, that's some fucked up shit, man.
From the beginning.
Like,
I mean,
even
I think
cyanide would be a more sane way, a much quicker death than
but they're
using nitrogen.
finding like a lot of these death row inmates are not guilty, which is starting. Look, the technology isn't getting any worse, right? Which means to say most of the people that you executed back in the day were probably not guilty as well. And I think we're starting to kind of, to kind of catch up with that fact here. Because look, if 40, 50% of the people now are being found as not guilty, right? What was it in 1960?
Yeah.
Right? What was it in 1950?
Yeah.
Yeah, really exposed, what was going on there. That's for sure. Yeah, those
So
are
I mean,
some outrageous numbers.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely. I'm not against the death penalty, right? But I think we need to be extremely careful with it, and I don't think we have been.
I think there are better ways
at all.
to educate.
And it may be one of those things that we can't be careful enough with it. That's just not a tactic that we are willing to use. And I think in some cases it may be arguable which is worse. You know what I mean? Whether you're put to death like the McVeighs were, right, or what Tim McVeigh was, or whether you're actually, life in prison, your entire life behind bars, which is worse. And I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't know if we're omnipotent enough, right? If humanity is should ever be the deciders of life and death. Punishment for sure, and there is no punishment for certain crimes that should be. I'm not denying that at all. Child molesting specifically, right? But when it comes to the death penalty,
what's that?
You know what I mean? Do we have the right to take somebody else's life, even if they are a horrible person?
What's that noise?
It's not me.
The alarms are going off. Hold on a second. There we go.
I got you. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I would say, yeah, I do believe the death penalty has a way in society, but I don't think that.
It's like a lot of these things. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its use. It might not have its use. I just don't trust you people to do it.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Well, not only that, they can't get. If this is kind of weird, this is something that a lot of people don't know, is that they can't get doctors legally to execute the death sentences because it's against the oath that they do no harm.
Yeah, the Hippocratic
So
Oath.
they get
Hmm.
anybody within the. I think they have to get somebody that is trained enough within the guard system or the correctional facility to do it. So so it's like it's
But I
so
don't
it could
think
be.
that in itself would be hard to do. If you believe that the people that you're putting to death deserve it, right? If they believe, if they're like I said, you raped and murdered a 1-year-old, right? You deserve the death penalty. But the person that's pulling that's flipping the switch believes that they're doing the right thing, and not that the person that's in the chair is innocent. And that's like where it becomes the problem, because if you knew that when the person in the chair, there's a 40% chance that he didn't even do it.
Yeah.
That's hard to do. You know what I mean? That puts a different spin on it in my mind.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm not sure if, like I said, it's not that I don't, the guy that did do it definitely deserves that. But you know what I mean? Who's making that decision? First of all, let's just get the prison industrial complex out of it. I don't trust you guys. So yeah, look, we'll have a Buddhist monk, Gandhi. We'll have the Dalai Lama, right? Get a list. You think this guy should get the chair? And if he says yeah, then you're done.
Well, you want the Pope making that decision?
No, we did that already. It was called the Inquisition, the witch burnings.
Yeah, we
tried that.
know how that turns out.
Yeah. Everybody that's not a young boy, is
Anybody
evil
that
and deserves
floats
to
is a
die.
witch, right?
Yeah, well, they're women, man. And if there's one thing the church hates, it's a woman.
God. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who you put. Well, there's going to be mistakes made no matter how you do it, but yeah, you can't keep that. You can't put that decision in the hands of these people right now because they're so corrupt that they're going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
They're such criminals.
Yeah,
Their
see,
criminal nature, they can't help it.
Yeah, I think that's the underlying problem. Look, we need a justice system. We need, people that do bad things and that are violent criminals and all of that stuff. There needs to be justice for those families and all of that. But this isn't justice. This is a profit making scheme, which isn't what we're looking for at all.
Yeah.
It's they've painted it as somehow a justice system, but which is what we want. We want justice to exist in America and the world, right? This is not what you've built here at all.
No, it's a what they call a kangaroo court. That's our kangaroo justice system. That's pretty much what they got.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, you have to walk down the prisons, regardless of what, you know what I mean? Some of the people are in there for, and be like, hey, you're not locking up all the brown people and poor folk, are you?
Well,
just in walking through, I noticed something. There is not a single one of the guys that undermined our housing system and fucked over the world economy in here. Not a single one.
There's no bankers.
Yeah,
no politicians.
I mean, you would think with how many bankers are constantly fucking us over, there would be at least one in here.
Yeah, you'd think, right?
Say, man, if Iceland can do it, we can do it. I mean, well, I just don't understand how the littlest country almost in the world,
Northern European countries.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Iceland.
Socialized medicine and happiness.
Get this, Iceland. Yeah, I said this several times on this show. Like Iceland did their own revolution and locked up all the bankers and the politicians and threw them in jail. They did this twice, right? Their economy is doing so much better since they did that.
You'd be surprised what getting corruption out of your government does.
Yeah, I'm like they forgave all the loans, they forgave all of the debt on the 2008 housing crises. They did that.
I think somebody's gonna come like running out of the office with a paper and just be like, "Look, I figured it out. These corrupt officials are fucking us over. Look, It says it right here. Like the complete and utter obvious.
And it doesn't, what gets me is it doesn't really fit. They're in the leftist Northern European, kind of that laid back, almost European style, and yet they go after the bank. It doesn't quite fit the mindset I have for them. But
Well, yeah,
hats
that's
off
the
to them
deal.
for
It's
doing it,
part of
man.
it's part of being American. Like we're not poor. We're just very embarrassed millionaires.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's some of it's just yeah, I mean it's culture. At a certain point you either it's part of your culture to work together or it's part of your culture to build greed. And we've done a really good job at exemplifying greed. The more greedy you are, the more cold-hearted you are to get rich, the better. And then we've put those people in power. Right? We right out of the right out of the you know what I mean? From one corporate industry into our government in a revolving door,
Yeah.
and celebrated it. Right? Oh, you know what I mean? You were on the cover of Forbes. You're on the cover of Forbes. You're probably fucking us over. It's like Time for people fucking us. It's like the Time magazine for people fucking us over. And we've done it. We've exemplified it. The more ruthless you are, the greed is good mentality that was touted is something to be strived for.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he's a ruthless businessman. That's a good thing. Like, what exactly does that mean? Well, that means that I'm willing to slave out people in Malaysia to make clothing to sell in Walmart, and somehow that's good. In fact, that's so good, we're going to give you a couple $2 billion and a tax break. But other countries, especially in the north like that, don't seem to be buying into it. Asia as well. And, a lot of these countries aren't buying into it. You hit a certain amount of wealth and then it becomes excessive.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with being wealthy, but if you can't be wealthy without fucking people over or slaving people out, well, then you can't be wealthy.
Hey guys, we got 3 minutes.
All right, very good.
Yeah. I only got cut off once and only had to proxy once.
It was
really
weird
good.
too. You got censored when you got cut off when we were talking about censorship. Like I was like,
because they're always worried we're going to drop the bomb.
Like now, like at first I thought it was like a technical issue, but now it's like,
oh no, it's obvious.
Yeah, now it's like
they do fear people, even if they don't know what it is, sharing around the shadow banning algorithm. And anytime we talk about it, you know what I mean? They're desperately trying to have that not exposed to the wider population. So I think that's part of it. We're all being banned. We're all being targeted. I'm being targeted. Others are being targeted. Alex Jones is being targeted. Anyone that's speaking out is being targeted at the moment. So,
yeah, we're being targeted.
You have to share. You have to share our stuff out, guys. You have to keep the people's voice going. You have to, if you like the ideas that we're talking about, you have to overwhelm their system and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Tell other people about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say our streams are not doing so well on some platforms, but we are doing pretty well in Russia. I mean, we are getting the viewer content. I just hope they're not bots viewing it. But
no, and that's fine. Like that means at least we have one Russian department watching us. People, I mean, the people that they're using against us do go to our benefit. So if you are from Russia, if you are listening from Russia, we support you. Our goal globally is for all of us to work together for the betterment of humanity. We don't want war. Russians don't want war. That's still the truth. For the hacker or network administrator that's set to setting up these bots, help us out, guys. Like, we know that you're with us as well. Whoever's paying you, I know you got to pay the bills and all of that stuff, but help us out where you can. It might not be very often. I realize that, and I know you guys have your job and all of that. I'm not necessarily respecting it, but I know you have bills to pay. But when you do have the opportunity to help us out, please do. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. All right, guys.
We can do a couple of ones in Russian. I speak Russian, so I can always I can always speak to you guys in Russia if you want to. Much love.
All right, guys. I'd like to thank you for all of our viewers. We only have a couple of seconds left. We'll be back next Thursday, and with that, I'll roll out with the outro. Night.
All right, so long.
Good night, everybody.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly.